Beneath the skin of our world lies a mosaic of the unimaginable. 100 places so otherworldly, they fracture the boundary between waking life and dream. A stone forest that sings in the wind, a lake the color of spilled mercury, temples swallowed by roots, mirages made solid. These aren't fantasies. They're real, and they've been hiding in plain sight from you all this time. Deep within the snow-laced ridges of China's Tianzi Mountains, peaks pierce the heavens like the jagged spires of a forgotten kingdom. Wreathed in a halo of morning mist, their vertical silhouettes defy logic. Stone towers rising hundreds of meters, blanketed in lush greenery and often veiled in clouds. It feels like a world untouched by time, where gravity holds its breath and legends come to life with each shifting shadow. This isn't a place that simply exists. It floats, as if suspended between earth and sky. The forests cling to the cliffs like ancient spirits refusing to let go, while narrow bridges thread between summits like strands of silk spun by giants. The silence is palpable, only broken by the occasional call of a distant bird echoing off the rock. These are the formations that inspired the floating mountains of Pandora in Avatar. Yet standing before them, no fiction could ever match the awe of their reality. In the remote heart of Socotra Island, off the coast of Yemen, an alien world unfolds in complete isolation. Here, dragon blood trees spread their umbrella-like canopies as if shielding the earth from an invisible sun. Their crimson sap, said to be the blood of dragons, bleeds through cracks in the bark, staining the soil with stories untold. The air smells faintly of salt and myrrh, and the wind carries whispers in a language only the trees understand. Rocky plateaus rise and fall like the scales of a great sleeping beast, and between them grow bottle trees swollen with water, their shapes abstract and surreal. The land is dry and severe, yet teeming with life, found nowhere else on Earth. The surrealism here isn't an effect, it's the essence. Socotra feels not like a part of this planet, but like a fragment of another, broken off and adrift in the Arabian Sea. To walk among its forms is to question the limits of the natural world. Hidden beneath the streets of Naples lies a city not forgotten, but buried, an underworld carved by hand over thousands of years. The Napoli Sotterranea is a labyrinth of catacombs, aqueducts, air raid shelters, and ancient Roman roads, all tucked within the volcanic tuff that makes up the region's foundation. Lantern light flickers across damp walls etched with the marks of slaves, priests, and wartime refugees. In narrow corridors, silence settles like dust, broken only by the slow drip of water echoing in unseen chambers. In places, entire rooms remain preserved, frescoes still visible, ancient graffiti scratched into stone, amphorae sitting in quiet rows like watchful sentinels. It's a city within a city, a time capsule sealed beneath the modern world. To descend into its depths is to fall through centuries, each step unveiling a new layer of civilization. It's not haunted by ghosts, it breathes them. Cradled in the arid folds of Chile's Atacama Desert lies the Valle de la Luna, the Valley of the Moon. Here, time has carved a dreamscape from salt, clay, and stone, an ocean of dunes frozen in silence and motionless waves of ochre and amber. When the sun begins its slow descent, light refracts across crystalline salt flats and fractures the horizon into flame. The wind here sculpts the land with invisible hands, shaping formations that resemble shattered castles, petrified ships, and the skeletons of forgotten titans. The ground crunches underfoot with the sound of brittle salt cracking, while above, The sky remains a dome of blinding blue or velvet black, punctured with a billion stars. There is no wildlife chatter, no flowing water, just stillness. Yet within that silence, the earth speaks with clarity. Valle de la Luna is not lifeless. It is suspended in a trance, where the past whispers to the present through wind and stone. In the highlands of northern Vietnam, woven into a tapestry of emerald terraces, lies the village of Hoang Su Phi. Here, rice paddies cascade down mountainsides in hypnotic, spiraling patterns, glowing gold and jade with the shifting sun. Mist weaves through the paddies in the early morning, giving the illusion that the mountains are slowly breathing. Farmers in conical hats move along narrow mud paths, their reflections shimmering like ghosts across water mirrors. The air tastes of wet earth and wood smoke, and time flows not in seconds, but in seasons. Hoang Su Phi is a symphony of textures, leaf, mud, bamboo, water, all in harmony. Its beauty isn't sculpted or staged. It grows with the land. As night falls, flickers of light appear from scattered homes across the hills, and the stars, bright and unpolluted, mirror the pattern of the terraces below. This is a place not just seen, but felt, like an old song hummed through mountains. Tucked between rugged ridgelines in Iceland's west fjords lies Raudisandur, a beach so surreal it dissolves the notion of color itself. Unlike Iceland's famous black shores, this one burns with hues of peach, coral, and gold. The sand, flecked with crushed shells and ancient volcanic sediment, stretches endlessly beneath skies that shift from sapphire to storm silver in a heartbeat. The ocean rolls in, not with violence, but with rhythm, a lullaby echoing from the edge of the world. Sea mist clings to the air, and seals can be seen lounging on the sand, undisturbed by the human world. The beach is framed by steep cliffs dusted in green and pierced by cascading waterfalls that vanish into the void. To stand on Raudisandur is to feel as though the landscape itself is pausing, offering you a moment outside of time. There's no rush here, only reverence. In the isolated hills of Meghalaya, India, beneath thick monsoon clouds and the veil of ancient rainforests, the living root bridges grow. Twisting, crawling, and stretching across turbulent rivers, these bridges aren't built. They're guided over decades. The Kazi people, with quiet patience, train the roots of Ficus elastica trees to form living pathways strong enough to carry generations. Some of these bridges stretch over 100 feet and are over 500 years old. Their surfaces slick with moss and rain, their arches casting reflections on the rushing waters below. Mist clings to the canopy above, and from the forest floor, each bridge appears like a stairway woven from the earth's veins. The air is thick with petrichor, the scent of endless rainfall and ancient bark. These are not just crossings. They are living testaments to time, resilience, and a symbiosis between humanity and nature almost forgotten in the modern world. Deep in the heart of Croatia's Plitvice Lakes National Park, water becomes poetry. 16 cascading lakes, each a shade of turquoise more vivid than the last, are connected by hundreds of waterfalls, creating a vertical ballet of flow and light. Wooden footbridges snake gently above the waters, allowing visitors to walk as though hovering. The air is thick with moisture and bird song, and every corner reveals a new surprise: a hidden grotto, a veil-like fall, or a sudden burst of wildflowers. In the dappled sun, the lakes reflect the forest like a memory, soft and ephemeral. Below the surface, fish glide through mineral-rich waters so clear they appear suspended in air. The sound of falling water is omnipresent, not overwhelming, but grounding, a constant lull that reminds you. This is not a dream, but a masterpiece sculpted by centuries of patience and flow. Here, water is not just seen or heard, it is felt in every breath and every footstep. High above the clouds in the tiny Swiss village of Lauterbrunnen, a hidden valley unfolds with a grandeur so intimate it feels whispered rather than spoken. Sheer cliffs rise like cathedral walls, cloaked in greenery and crowned with drifting mist. From these vertical sanctuaries, waterfalls pour like silver threads, 72 of them, each with its own rhythm and voice. Staubach Falls, the highest among them, dances from nearly 300 meters high, descending in an ethereal spray that catches the light like powdered diamonds. The valley hums with stillness, broken only by the occasional toll of distant cowbells or the low rumble of a train slipping along the mountainside. Wooden chalets nestle into meadows sprinkled with wildflowers, their windows glowing golden in the soft alpine sun. Lauterbrunnen doesn't demand your attention. It invites it gently, offering an untouched stillness so complete it feels sacred. Time slows here, not out of inertia, but out of reverence. On the fringes of northern Madagascar lies a stone forest unlike anything else on Earth, the Tsingy de Bemaraha. Razor-sharp limestone pinnacles rise like the jagged bones of a slumbering titan, hundreds of feet tall and sculpted by wind and time into a maze of towers, bridges, and chasms. From the sky, it resembles a petrified ocean frozen mid-storm. Walking through it is an experience of surreal disorientation. Narrow passageways open into vast stone halls, and bridges of wood and rope stretch across gorges with nothing but vertical emptiness below. The rock underfoot is jagged and ancient, and vines curl around the stone as though trying to claim it back. Yet life thrives here. Insects and birds that exist nowhere else flit through the crevices, and hidden groves shelter rare lemurs who leap across the spires like whispers. The Tsingy feels alive, as though the stone itself remembers every footstep, every gust of wind, every echo of ancient footsteps. In the icy grip of Patagonia, Argentina, an alien palette of blue, white, and silver pulses with raw, elemental power. This is the Perito Moreno Glacier, a 19-mile-long river of ice that groans, cracks, and crashes with a voice that speaks to the soul. Its facade, towering over 200 feet above the water, is a cathedral of jagged ice towers, each glowing with an inner light. The glacier doesn't just sit silently. It moves, expanding daily, calving thunderous hunks of ice into the milky blue waters of Lago Argentino. The sound of ice breaking here isn't merely noise. It's a shudder through the chest, a language of shifting earth. As the sun arcs across the sky, the glacier reflects every hue: cerulean shadows, aquamarine depths, white fire at noon. Birds soar above in silence, dwarfed by the sheer immensity. Perito Moreno is not frozen. It's breathing, creaking forward, as a living monument to the forces that shaped the planet itself. Drifting through the jungles of Guatemala, hidden beneath layers of moss and centuries of silence, the ancient city of Yaksha emerges like a lost thought brought back to life. Unlike its more famous cousin, Tikal, Yaksha remains secluded, undisturbed by crowds, where jungle paths open suddenly into plazas flanked by temples, ball courts, and astronomical towers. The structures rise in solemn geometry, their steps worn smooth by millennia of footsteps. Priests, kings, rebels, ghosts. Howler monkeys echo in the canopy above, and the scent of earth, stone, and leaf mingles into something sacred. As the sun dips below the treetops, Temple 216 rises like a stairway to the stars, casting a long shadow over the glassy lake. that bears the city's name. The Mayans knew this place intimately. They charted the sky from here, communed with their gods, aligned their world with the cosmos. Yaksha isn't a ruin. It's a sleeping memory, still dreaming beneath the trees. Carved into the wild interior of Oman's Al-Hajar Mountains, the village of Misfat al-Abriyain clings to cliffs with poetic defiance. Built from stone and mud brick, its houses stack like honeycomb along the edge of a deep canyon. Narrow alleyways wind between homes and over centuries-old Falaj irrigation channels that still nourish cascading terraces of date palms and bananas. The stones underfoot are smooth with time, and everywhere there is a soft hush, like the mountains themselves are holding their breath. The air here is thick with the scent of frankincense and citrus, and the landscape shifts in color with every passing hour. Rust-red cliffs at dawn, golden terraces by noon, indigo shadows at twilight. Misfat feels both ancient and alive, preserved not in time, but in spirit. As dusk falls and the muezzin's call drifts over the terraces, the village seems to blur with the landscape, becoming not a place but a feeling of stillness, of roots, of belonging. Off the southern coast of Italy, carved into the cliffs of Basilicata, the city of Matera rises like a sculpted echo of the earth itself. Its ancient district, the Sassi, is a network of cave dwellings and stone churches, carved directly from limestone, layered and stacked like an architectural tapestry. Walking through Matera is like moving through a dream that blurs the line between man and nature. The streets are stairways. The roofs are other people's floors. Light bounces between creamy white walls, and shadows stretch long in the narrow alleys, where time seems permanently set to twilight. By night, thousands of warm lights flicker across the cliffside, turning the city into a living nativity scene. Matera has survived everything: abandonment, rediscovery, reinvention, and yet it never lost its heart. Beneath its beauty is a resilience, etched into every worn step and carved chamber. Matera is not just inhabited, it is inhaled and exhaled like a living breath. On a remote plateau in Ethiopia, the Danakil Depression defies all rules of nature. Here, fire and salt, acid and steam conspire to create a technicolor terrain more suited to another planet. Sulfur pools bubble in electric yellows, reds, and greens, while salt flats stretch to the horizon, interrupted only by steam vents and mineral towers that seem to grow from the ground like coral from an unseen sea. Temperatures here can soar past 50 degrees, yet life persists, extremophile microbes coloring the landscape in surreal patterns of neon. The earth gurgles and groans, constantly shifting under pressure from volcanic activity below. It is a place of contradiction, hostile yet mesmerizing, dangerous yet hypnotic. Standing in the Danakil Depression feels like witnessing the birth of the earth, raw and primal and impossibly vivid. It challenges the imagination and dares you to look closer. Nothing about this place whispers. It blazes, unashamedly alive. Nestled in the jungles of Sri Lanka, the rock fortress of Sigiriya bursts skyward from the earth like a monolith of forgotten gods. Known as the Lion Rock, its summit is accessed by a labyrinth of symmetrical gardens, ancient frescoes, and vertigo-inducing staircases carved into sheer vertical rock. Halfway up, two enormous lion's paws guard a stone staircase, the last remnants of a massive lion sculpture that once led the way to a royal palace in the sky. The view from the top stretches across endless jungle and rolling hills, and in the stillness, it becomes easy to believe this was once a divine seat. The rock tells stories in fragments, mirror walls etched with 1,000-year-old poetry. frescoes of celestial maidens glowing against ochre stone, fountains that still flow during monsoon rains. Sigiriya is a paradox, an impenetrable fortress that now welcomes the wind, a relic of empire that surrendered to the vines. It does not whisper its past, it roars it still. In a secluded corner of northern Portugal, shrouded in mist and moss, lies the garden of Quinta da Regaleira, a place where architecture and mysticism intertwine in a dance of stone and shadow. This is not merely a garden, but a symphony of symbolism, a playground for secrets. Gothic towers rise from manicured groves, hidden tunnels snake beneath the earth, and fountains whisper forgotten names. At its heart lies the initiation well, a spiral staircase that plunges deep into the earth, lined with 9 levels echoing Dante's Descent. As you walk its damp, echoing path, light filters down like a blessing, illuminating carved emblems of alchemy, masonry, and ancient faith. It's a place designed not to be seen, but to be felt, every curve and chamber a metaphor. Fog lingers in the corners like half-remembered dreams, and each turn offers something unexpected. A statue cloaked in ivy, a door that leads into darkness, a corridor where sound disappears. Quinta da Regaleira is not a destination. It is a riddle in stone. In the icy expanse of northern Norway, where the night sky becomes a theater of flame, the Lofoten Islands drift like a forgotten legend upon the sea. Jagged peaks rise abruptly from turquoise fjords, their snow-capped silhouettes mirrored perfectly in still, glassy waters. Tiny fishing villages cling to the edges of the archipelago, red Rohrbuer cabins perched on stilts, their reflections shimmering beneath the aurora's glow. The silence here is not absence but presence, filled with the crunch of snow beneath boots, the cry of gulls wheeling overhead, the deep rhythm of the ocean pressing against rocks. In winter, the skies erupt into a kaleidoscope of greens and purples, streaking across the heavens in waves that seem to breathe. In summer, the sun never sets, and golden light bathes the mountains at midnight, turning shadows into silver. The Lofoten Islands do not offer a view. They offer a spell, a moment suspended, fragile and eternal. Tucked into the folds of southern China's Guangxi region, the village of Yangshuo unfurls beside the Li River like a painting brought to life. Towering karst peaks rise around the water like silent sentinels, cloaked in morning mist that lingers long after sunrise. The river glides past bamboo groves and fields of bright green rice, where water buffalo wade and cormorant fishermen float on bamboo rafts, their silhouettes etched against the dawn. Time here is liquid, moving slow and soft. The sounds of the river, lapping, trickling, echoing, blend with the rustle of leaves and distant flutes played by unseen hands. The limestone mountains wear crowns of drifting cloud, each curve and peak telling its own story of erosion and eternity. At night, lanterns shimmer across the water's surface, and the karsts vanish into silhouette, standing like ancient spirits in the darkness. Yangshuo is not dramatic, it is poetic. A place where nature hums in harmony with human rhythm. In the heart of the South Pacific, nestled within French Polynesia, lies the atoll of Tetiaroa, a ring of emerald islets cradling a lagoon so luminous it appears lit from within. Once the sacred retreat of Tahitian royalty, this hidden paradise glows with untouched purity. The waters shift from sapphire to opal to jade, home to sea turtles, manta rays, and reef sharks gliding effortlessly over coral cathedrals. Palm trees sway with a rhythm older than time, their shadows dancing on sand so white it seems surreal. There are no roads, no cities, only whispers of ocean breeze, the rustle of fronds, and the hush of waves lapping the reef. Birds nest undisturbed, and the stars fall close enough to touch. It's a place that feels like it slipped through a crack in reality, a sanctuary not only of beauty, but of balance. Tetiaroa doesn't ask for awe. It simply exists in a state of it. At the edge of the Namib Desert in southern Namibia, the rust-red dunes of Sossusvlei tower over the land like sleeping giants caught in mid-motion. Some stretch over 300 meters into the sky, their slopes sculpted by centuries of wind into razor-sharp ridges and smooth, sweeping arcs. Between them lies Deadvlei, a salt-white clay pan frozen in time, where blackened camel-thorn trees stand petrified under a merciless sun. Their twisted branches claw the air, casting long, skeletal shadows over cracked earth. There is no sound here, not even wind, only silence, so complete it echoes. The color palette is impossible. Orange sand, blue sky, white pan, black trees. It doesn't seem like a place where life could ever have existed, and yet it did, and does, in the smallest and most stubborn of forms. As the sun rises, the dunes catch fire with light, each grain casting shadows that move like breath. Sossusvlei is a cathedral of extremes, where desolation becomes beauty in its purest form. In the dense tropical forests of Colombia, shrouded in mystery and mist, the lost city of Tayuna slumbers beneath a canopy of emerald. Older than Machu Picchu, and accessible only by days of trekking through jungle rivers, steep mountains, and stinging insects, this ancient city reveals itself slowly. Terraces curve along hillsides like the fingerprints of forgotten gods, and moss-covered stone steps rise endlessly into the trees. Monkeys chatter overhead, and giant butterflies dart between shafts of sunlight that pierce the green gloom. No roads lead here, no noise follows you. Only the rhythm of breath, the pulse of machetes cutting through vines, and the distant roar of waterfalls. When you reach it, the city isn't triumphant. It's quiet, reverent. Circular plazas where rituals once danced now sit beneath moss and fog, the jungle forever trying to reclaim its secrets. Tayuna doesn't belong to us. It listens, watching from behind the leaves. In a remote valley of New Zealand's South Island, the luminous waters of Lake Tekapo stretch beneath skies of impossible clarity. During the day, the lake gleams turquoise, its color born from glacier-ground rock suspended in the water. Lupine flowers, in riots of purple, pink, and violet, bloom along the shore, their colors exploding against the blue like a painter's rebellion. Above it all, the tiny stone church of the Good Shepherd sits in contemplative silence, its altar window framing the lake and mountains like a divine painting. But when night falls, the true wonder awakens. This is one of the clearest skies on Earth. The Milky Way ignites overhead, spilling across the heavens with a clarity so sharp it feels like a portal. Shooting stars flash like secrets revealed. Planets burn like watchful eyes. Lake Tekapo isn't just a destination, it's a bridge between Earth and cosmos, where even silence is full of song. Buried within the cliffs of southwestern Turkey, the ghost town of Kayakoi lies in solemn slumber. Once a thriving Greek village, its stone homes, chapels, and fountains now stand roofless and hollow, their windows staring like empty eyes across the valley. Wild grass spills into old living rooms. Vines twist up forgotten altars. Footsteps echo in alleyways where children once laughed. The sunlight here doesn't illuminate, it reveals. Dust motes drift through broken rafters, and the wind sighs through doorways like a memory trying to speak. Despite its abandonment, Kayakoi is not lifeless. The scent of pine and sagebrush floats in the air, and lizards scurry through cracked walls. The silence is not sad, but sacred, an ode to everything that was and still lingers. It is a village that hums with stories, even when no one is listening. High in the Andes of Peru, suspended between mountain spires and veiled in clouds, the fortress of Choquequirao clings to the edge of myth. Often called the sister city to Machu Picchu but far less visited, Choquequirao sprawls across mountain ridges in terraces and plazas, its stones meticulously fitted without mortar, its walls carved with symbols of jaguars and serpents. The only way to reach it is by foot, through days of hiking steep, rugged trails that test both body and will. But when the fog parts and the sun kisses its granite foundations, a magic unfolds. Structures emerge from mist like forgotten prayers, and the silence feels thick enough to hold. Condors soar above the cliffs, their shadows tracing sacred geometry across the land. Choquequirao doesn't dazzle with accessibility. It whispers rewards to those who seek with patience. It remains hidden not out of secrecy, but respect, as if the mountains themselves are still deciding who is worthy to find it. Tucked away in the rainforests of Tabasco, the Cascadas de Reforma fall in gentle vales into emerald pools surrounded by dense foliage. The forest hums with the chorus of insects, the occasional call of a bird, and the steady whisper of water. Sunlight pierces the canopy in narrow beams, illuminating leaves in vivid greens that seem to glow. The air is thick with the scent of earth and fresh water, and moss covers every rock in a soft, damp carpet. In the volcanic highlands of Michoacán, the Paricutin volcano rises above fields of black lava rock, its slopes a testament to a birth witnessed in living memory. Hardened waves of stone ripple out from its base, swallowing the ruins of a church whose bell tower still stands defiantly above the basalt. The wind carries the faint scent of minerals and ash, and the crunch of lava rock underfoot is the only sound in the vast, open landscape. Climbing the volcano's flank, the view opens to reveal an ocean of jagged black stretching to the horizon. Far beyond the beaten trails of Morocco's Sahara, where the golden dunes stretch endlessly in hypnotic rhythm, lies a place untouched by the caravans of mass tourism. Erg Chigaga. Unlike the more popular Erg Chebi, Chigaga is vast, remote, and entirely untamed. You reach it not by road, but by trust, on camelback or four-wheel drive, guided by Berber nomads whose stories move with the wind. Here, the dunes rise like ocean waves, sculpted by centuries of wind, each crest catching fire with the changing light. By day, the sun paints the sand in layers of gold, rose, and burnished copper. At dusk, shadows stretch like poetry across the valleys, and at night, the sky erupts in galaxies. Thousands of stars smeared across an ink-black dome so clear it steals your breath. The silence is absolute. You can hear the soft whisper of sand grains shifting beneath your feet. There are no sounds but the desert's heartbeat. Nomad tents offer shelter, their woven fabrics fluttering like sails on an endless sea. Mint tea is poured with reverence, and stories are told by firelight, words drifting upward like sparks. Erg Chigaga is not a backdrop. It's a living presence, a timeless expanse where the world dissolves into light, wind, and awe. Among the chalk cliffs of western Kazakhstan lies the Martian valley of Boshira, where white stone spires and sculpted mesas erupt from an ancient seabed in forms so strange they defy earthly geometry. The terrain looks like it belongs to another planet, with blade-like ridges rising against skies that shift from cyan to lavender at dusk. The silence here is total, a vacuum broken only by the whisper of wind over stone. At sunrise, light spills across the landscape like liquid silver, casting long shadows that dance along the contours of fossilized dunes. Few have walked here, and fewer still have captured its majesty. There are no roads, no crowds, only the wind's howl and the crunch of your own steps over brittle earth. In the heart of Boshira, you become small beneath a cathedral of stone, as though the planet has turned its face away from time and offered you a glimpse into something ancient and eternal. This is not scenery, it is revelation. In the depths of Madagascar's southern frontier, where the sky stretches wide and the earth fractures into surreal sculptures, lies Tsingy de Bemaraha, a labyrinth of limestone needles carved by millennia of wind and water. These spires rise like frozen shards of moonlight, dense and impenetrable, a forest not of trees, but of sharpened stone. Navigating this alien expanse is not a walk, but a ballet along suspended bridges and tightrope ledges. The silence is reverent, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves and the distant echo of lemurs leaping through the voids. Narrow canyons plunge into shadowy depths, revealing moss-covered crevices where endemic life thrives, creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Sunlight flickers between the formations, casting blade-like shadows that shift as the day turns. Tsingy is both sanctuary and fortress, a sacred cathedral chiseled by nature's hand. Standing within its heart feels like trespassing into a world the earth forgot to reveal, a geological dreamscape where every step is a communion with the planet's secret artistry. In the heart of Bosnia and Herzegovina, far from the better-known cities, lies the enchanting town of Blagaj, where serenity flows from both stone and stream. At the base of a sheer 200-meter cliff, the emerald waters of the Buna River burst forth from the depths of a cavern, clear and cold and eternal. Nestled beside it is a 16th-century dervish monastery, whitewashed and reflected perfectly in the tranquil water below. Time slows here. The monastery's carved wooden balconies overlook a river that sings of purity, of beginnings. Inside, the scent of old books and incense lingers in the air, and the sound of prayer blends with the echo of the river beyond. Swallows dart in and out of the cavern mouth, and the surrounding landscape, verdant and wild, feels untouched by modern time. Blagaj is a place of peace so deep it feels sacred, a hidden confluence of earth, spirit, and water, where the soul finds quiet and the heart finds stillness. Hidden in the velvet folds of Japan's lesser-known Shikoku Island lies Iya Valley, a realm of hanging mists and ageless serenity. Steep mountains cradle narrow roads that twist like silver ribbons through thick forests of cedar and pine. This land feels untouched by the hands of time, its beauty whispered rather than shouted. Thatched roof farmhouses, their walls darkened with age and rain, cling to impossibly steep hillsides, looking out over chasms that plunge into jade rivers far below. And spanning these gorges are the valley's most iconic features, ancient vine bridges, built centuries ago by samurai fleeing pursuit. Suspended high above rushing water, they creak underfoot, each step a breath held in wonder and fear. The river sings far below, carving its song into stone and silence. Fog drapes the valley each morning, lending a dreamlike veil to every leaf and stone. Here, the sacred and the mundane exist side by side, and every breath feels like a pilgrimage. Cradled in the remote folds of northern Pakistan's Gilgit-Baltistan region, lies the Hunza Valley, a place not etched onto tourist maps, but remembered like a dream once you've seen it. Towering peaks of the Karakoram pierce the clouds with icy authority, their serrated ridges painted in blinding white. Beneath them, the valley unfurls in slow grandeur. Green orchards quilted into steep slopes, walnut trees and cherry blossoms swaying in silence, and stone villages carved from the bones of the mountain. The Hunza River winds through the valley like a thread of molten jade, and at its banks, life flows at a pace forgotten by the modern world. Footage taken here at sunrise reveals a tapestry of light spilling across Rakaposhi's towering face, shadows stretching long and golden through the apricot groves. When spring comes, the valley turns into a bloom-drenched paradise. Petals snow across terraced fields, and the entire region glows like something imagined by poets. The people here, the Hunzakuts, carry a warmth that mirrors their landscape. Long-lived, gracious, grounded. They farm by hand, gather for tea, speak in languages older than borders. Walking through Karimabad, the village heart, you hear the crunch of gravel, the soft chime of bells on grazing goats, the wind threading through poplar leaves. The silence is musical, alive with meaning. Standing at the edge of Baltit Fort, you look down into a basin of beauty so expansive. It feels like the earth forgot to hide this place well enough. It's not just visually stunning, it's emotionally enormous. Hunza doesn't dazzle in short bursts. It swells inside you, like a deep breath you didn't know you were holding. A living reminder that some places still know how to listen, how to hold still, and how to let beauty bloom without permission. At the edge of Vietnam's remote Quang Binh province, a narrow fissure in the limestone opens into a void so immense, it swallows not just light, but sound, sense, and the very concept of scale. This is Sun Joang Cave, an underground kingdom vast enough to house a city block, with clouds forming inside its chambers and jungles thriving where the roof has collapsed and allowed the sun to penetrate. Approaching its entrance is an expedition in itself, through dense rainforest, across rivers that twist like silver veins, past villages that vanish into green. Then, suddenly, the mouth of the cave appears, a black wound in the mountain, humid breath escaping from its depths like the exhalation of some ancient beast. Step inside, and the world shifts. The air cools drastically. The soundscape changes. Drips echo into silence, magnified by cavernous acoustics that feel as though they could swallow your very thoughts. You descend slowly, ropes, ladders, the occasional swing across an abyss, and then emerge into a cathedral of stone. Gigantic stalagmites rise like prehistoric towers. Stalagmites the size of buildings reach toward ceilings hung with delicate mineral lace. But it's the daylight inside that astounds. Through collapsed ceilings called dolines, the sun pierces down in golden shafts, illuminating whole ecosystems that defy logic. Trees stretch toward the light. Ferns and moss carpet the cave floor. Butterflies drift lazily among foliage never touched by the outside world. It's as if a forgotten Eden has been sealed away for millennia, waiting to be found again. Further still, underground rivers run with cold, clear water, carving smooth paths through rock older than history. In some places, the passage narrows to just a body's width, squeezing explorers into the belly of the earth. In others, it opens into chambers so vast, they seem to defy architecture, defy nature, defy belief. To sleep within Sun Joang is to dwell inside the pulse of the planet. The darkness is absolute. Stars are replaced by glowworms, flickering along cave walls like distant constellations. The wind is a whisper from ancient crevices, and the ground hums with subtle energy. One awakes not refreshed, but reborn, as if the cave has reached into something primal and returned it to light. Far out in the Pacific waters of Oaxaca, the island of La Blanca rises in rugged cliffs and hidden beaches untouched by development. The waves here crash in a deep, resonant rhythm against black volcanic rock, sending sprays high into the air. In sheltered coves, the water turns translucent emerald, calm enough for turtles to glide beneath the surface. The wind smells of salt and sun-warmed stone, and seabirds nest in the cliffs, their cries carried far over the open water. In the remote jungles of Quintana Roo, Cenote dos Ojos reveals a crystalline underworld where shafts of sunlight penetrate through openings in the limestone ceiling, illuminating the clear blue water. Stalactites hang above, mirrored perfectly in the depths below, creating the sensation of floating between two skies. The water is so pure it feels almost weightless, and the silence is absolute except for the soft sound of your own movements. Every glance reveals a new formation, each one shaped over millennia. High in the state of Hidalgo, the town of Real del Monte clings to steep hillsides, its cobblestone streets winding past brightly painted houses and old stone churches. Morning fog drifts in from the mountains, softening the colors until the sun breaks through. The air carries the scent of fresh-baked pastes, a savory pie brought here by Cornish miners over a century ago, mingled with the faint perfume of flowers spilling from balcony planters. From the highest points, the surrounding valleys open like green seas, rolling away into the distance. In the wild heart of Albania, far from the crowded Adriatic shores and modern rhythms of Tirana, lies the Valley of Theth, an untouched expanse of emerald forests, glacial peaks, and timeless stone. Approaching Theth feels like falling into a fable whispered by the mountains themselves. Ancient beech trees arch overhead like sentinels of forgotten myths. The path winds along the Shala River, its waters a surreal turquoise, gliding over polished rock like melted sapphire. Jagged cliffs rise abruptly, slicing into the sky with primeval defiance, dusted with snow even in the soft breath of spring. The village appears almost by accident, its stone houses and slate roofs tucked beneath towering peaks like a secret preserved in silence. The Kula, a centuries-old blood-feud tower, stands as both relic and reminder of a world where honor and survival once walked hand in hand. Horses roam freely, their manes tangled by mountain wind. Even the air is different here. Crisp, pine-laced, charged with the breath of glaciers. Waterfalls tumble from cliffs as if the earth is weeping with awe. The light shifts with mystery. Sunbeams streak through cloud gaps like divine whispers. You don't find Theth on a schedule. It finds you when you're ready to listen and ready to feel what raw beauty truly means. On the far-flung edge of northern Mozambique lies the Quirimbas archipelago, a scattered constellation of coral islands adrift in waters so clear they seem born from sapphire. Ebo Island, among the most secluded, is a realm where silence floats on the ocean breeze and time wears an alabaster smile. Colonial ruins, their stone walls cloaked in bougainvillea, stand shoulder to shoulder with mangroves and dhows drifting lazily on the tide. There is no rush here. The tides rule all. At dusk, the sky melts into the sea in swaths of orange and indigo, and the call to prayer rises gently through crumbling minarets. The underwater world dazzles with untouched reefs and marine life, that flicker like living gems in the current. On land, artisans craft intricate silver filigree, their hands echoing centuries of tradition. There are no crowds, no signs, only the soft lap of waves against shore and the hush of a place preserved by seclusion. The Quirimbas are not merely islands. They are whispers in the sea, waiting to be heard. Tucked within the folds of the Peloponnese in Greece, hidden beyond the mythic coasts and olive-covered hills, lies the village of Castania. A settlement so steeped in stone and shadow, it seems carved from the mountain itself. The stone houses here are huddled close, their slate roofs dusted with centuries of weather and war. Winding alleyways coil like secrets through the village, leading to arched chapels filled with the scent of beeswax and incense. Overhead, the Tagatos Mountains loom, their peaks serrated against the pale blue sky, cloaked in pine and myth. Castania is not in any brochure. It's a place locals speak of quietly, almost protectively. The hum of bees in lavender, the clang of goat bells over distant ridgelines, the laughter rising from a taverna courtyard, all converge in a symphony of the unassuming sacred. This village doesn't announce itself. It waits for your attention, and when given, opens like a hidden door into the soul of an older Greece. One built not of ruins, but of roots. On the rugged coast of Portugal's Alentejo region, far from the crowds of Lisbon and the Algarve, lies the untouched paradise of Praia da Amália. Accessible only by a narrow dirt path that winds through a dense pine grove, the beach reveals itself with dramatic flair. High cliffs drenched in golden sunlight, black volcanic rock pools, and an endless stretch of soft, cinnamon sand. Waves crash with thunderous rhythm, sculpting the shoreline into curves and hollows that change with each tide. Wildflowers bloom along the cliff edge, and goats wander the high paths like guardians of the land. The ghost of fado singer Amalia Rodriguez, who once called this cove her sanctuary, lingers in the whisper of the wind and the melancholic song of the sea. It's a place of reflection, of poetry, of the raw beauty that exists between earth and ocean. Here, you do not just see the coast, you feel it in your chest, deep and resonant. In the far northeast of India, wrapped in the cascading folds of the Khasi Hills, the village of Nongriat reveals one of nature's most extraordinary collaborations with humankind: the living root bridges. These are not built, but grown, guided over decades by the skilled hands of the indigenous Khasi people, who coax the aerial roots of the ficus tree across roaring rivers and steep ravines. The result is a bridge that breathes, flexes, and endures. Covered in moss and alive with tiny insects, the roots twist together like braided ropes, forming structures that have stood for generations. The jungle here is thick and dripping, alive with birdsong and the scent of wet earth. Waterfalls tumble from unseen cliffs, feeding turquoise pools where villagers bathe in quiet communion with the forest. To walk across a living bridge is to experience the sacred ingenuity of patience and harmony with nature. Each step is a testament to a culture that sees time not in years, but in roots and rain. Tucked away in a little-known fold of Portugal's northern wilderness lies Poço Azul, a glowing underground lagoon hidden within the Serras de Aire e Candeeiros Natural Park. It begins with a descent into limestone caves, through narrow passages chiseled by ancient water, until the walls widen and the ceiling vaults above you like the dome of a forgotten chapel. At the bottom, the blue appears, not in a sudden burst, but like a secret being revealed. Crystal water, so still it seems solid, glows with an electric sapphire radiance. It's not lit by lights, but by the way sunlight filters through fissures in the cave ceiling and refracts off the water's surface. Divers who explore the depths describe it as entering another world, a chamber of silence, where every bubble sounds like a whisper and each stroke through water feels like flying through light. Footage from underwater shows shafts of pure sunlight penetrating the blue, illuminating white limestone walls and stalactites that drip from the ceiling like glass swords. Time stretches. The cave muffles sound until it's just the beat of your own heart and the hush of awe. You don't swim here. You glide, weightless between dream and geology, between now and forever. Above ground, few know of its existence. Even fewer take the journey down. And perhaps that's why it remains so powerful, untouched, unbothered, unknowable. Pocho Azul is not just a cave pool. It's a communion with the Earth's deeper breath. High in the shadowy folds of Japan's Iya Valley, hidden among the forested mountains of Shikoku Island, there lies a gorge so steep and mysterious, it has remained largely untouched for centuries. The Iya Valley is a realm of mists and moss, of vine bridges suspended over emerald rivers, of villages perched precariously on sheer cliffs like forgotten watchtowers. Mist coils along the ridgelines at dawn, weaving through cedar trees that rise like pillars of an ancient shrine. The valley is narrow and wild, with switchback roads that cling to mountainsides and vanish into thickets of bamboo. This is no place for tour buses or crowds. It is for the curious, the quiet, the reverent. The Kazurabashi Vine Bridge is one of the valley's oldest secrets. Built by hand centuries ago using mountain vines and wooden planks, it sways 45 feet above the Aya River, creaking and groaning with every step. Cross it, and you are transported, suspended not just in the air, but in a time when monks, warriors, and fugitives used these very paths to vanish from the known world. Below, the river is a ribbon of jade, tumbling over smooth stones, disappearing into hidden pools that shimmer like liquid quartz. There are places to bathe, unseen from the trail. Steam rises from natural springs, warming the air with whispers of sulfur and mineral purity. Wildflowers bloom in defiance along the rocky banks, scarlet, gold, violet, like forgotten offerings to unseen gods. Small villages still cling to the slopes here, thatched roof homes and terraced fields shaped by hand, their people living in quiet rhythm with the land. There are no neon signs, no fast trains, no luxury resorts, only winding paths, the rustle of leaves, the call of hawks circling high above. At night, the valley glows not with electric light, but with fireflies. They drift between the trees like floating embers, their gentle flashes reflected in the still waters below. You sleep not in hotels, but in ryokan inns, wrapped in tatami and silence, with the scent of cedar smoke and river stone lingering in the air. In Aya, the mountains speak in hushes, and the world beyond seems a distant memory. It is not a place to conquer, but to be humbled by, to listen, to wait, and to slowly become part of the forest's breath. Off the coast of Baja California Sur, Espiritu Santo Island glows with white beaches and cliffs of ochre stone. The water is a translucent turquoise, revealing darting fish and patches of coral just beneath the surface. Sea lions bask on the rocks, barking at one another as they slip into the water to swim in playful spirals. Kayaking along the coastline, you pass hidden coves where the sand feels untouched by human footprints, and the stillness of the water reflects the sky like polished glass. In the high desert of Durango, The Zona del Silencio stretches under an immense dome of blue sky. Here, legends tell of strange magnetic forces, and the silence is so deep that even the wind seems reluctant to disturb it. The land is a mix of golden scrub, jagged hills, and scattered cacti casting long shadows in the late sun. At night, the stars blaze with a clarity that makes the constellations feel close enough to touch, their light unchallenged by any glow from human settlements. In the volcanic heart of Vanuatu, hidden deep within the remote island of Ambrim, a pair of lava lakes burn day and night, eternal glowing scars that pulse with the rhythm of the Earth's molten heart. The path to them winds through dense, almost primeval jungle, where the air is heavy with moisture and the calls of birds unknown to science echo between giant tree ferns. As the forest gives way to barren ash plains, the world turns monochrome: black, silver, smoke gray. The Maroom and Benbow craters rise like forgotten altars, their edges scorched and jagged. At their centers, the lava roils and churns, its surface breaking into waves of fire, crashing and folding in endless violence. The heat sears the air. The smoke burns the throat. Yet it is impossible to look away. Standing at the edge of this inferno feels mythic, like staring into the eye of some slumbering titan. The wind howls across the barren plain. Ash sticks to your skin. Time loses meaning in the face of such elemental fury. Few places on Earth let you witness the planet's living core without filter or barrier. Here, in the fiery lungs of Ambrim, you remember what it means to feel awe, not just admiration, but reverent, primal awe. Far into the high desert of Jordan, beyond the echoes of Petra and the rumble of camel trains, lies Wadi al-Hassa, a hidden canyon of water and stone, winding like a silver serpent through ochre cliffs. Here, desert and oasis collide in a surreal ballet of contrast. The gorge shelters a secret river, its cool flow defying the surrounding dust and heat. Palms sway beside waterfalls that cascade into turquoise pools, and ferns cling to the canyon walls, where sunlight barely touches. It is a sanctuary of lush defiance, a green pulse in the chest of parched wilderness. Trekking through the wadi, one wades through water for miles, past sculpted sandstone cathedrals and chambers echoing with the call of doves. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes, until it's just your breath, the river, and the silence of deep time. Wadi al-Hassa isn't marked on most tourist maps, yet it holds a power that rivals the wonders nearby. A place where the desert dreams of water, and water remembers the stories of stone. Beneath the snow-capped peaks of Georgia's Tusheti region lies Dartlo, a village suspended in the embrace of alpine meadows and medieval towers. Built in a remote valley, only accessible by treacherous mountain roads during the short summer, Dartlo rises like a legend from the green earth. Stone towers, centuries old, reach skyward in stoic silence, guardians of a culture preserved in fierce isolation. The air is pure, scented with wild mint and wood smoke, and the only sounds are the lowing of cattle and the distant clang of bells. The houses, with their slate roofs and timber balconies, seem frozen in a dream of time untouched by war or empire. Above them, eagles glide in lazy spirals, and the mountains hold their breath in solemn grace. Life here is measured in seasons, not days, and each encounter, be it a cup of cha-cha from a wrinkled shepherd or a tale by the fire, is imbued with the gravity of myth. Dartlo is not merely seen. It is felt in the bones, in the hush that falls over the valley when the stars emerge like 1,000 ancestral eyes. On the western shores of Madagascar, Where baobabs rise like ancient sentinels and tides shape worlds anew, lies the surreal beauty of Tsingy de Bemaraha. This is a forest not of trees, but of stone, limestone spires that thrust skyward like frozen lightning. Razor sharp and silver gray, the Tsingy form an otherworldly maze, impassable without ropes and ladders. But those who dare to enter are rewarded with vistas unlike any other. Forests suspended in air, bridges stretched across yawning chasms, and caverns that echo with the calls of lemurs and the drip of unseen waters. The Tsingy seem alive, reacting to every shift in light and cloud. Shadows stretch and twist across the jagged rock, and the wind whistles through narrow canyons with an eerie, almost melodic tone. In the stillness, the land feels sacred. It's a place where the earth has remembered how to dream in sharp edges and soaring silence. No place on the planet feels quite like this, alien and yet intensely alive. Tucked between the sand-swept ruins of Jordan's lesser-known landscapes lies a mirage made real, Wadi bin Hamad, a lush canyon of hanging gardens and warm waterfalls hidden within a desert kingdom. The entrance is unassuming, a dusty road, a dry valley. But step into its mouth and the world transforms. Vertical cliffs rise like towering walls, and from their flanks spring unexpected life. Ferns, mosses, fig trees clinging to cracks where water seeps. A stream runs through the canyon's heart, its waters warm and clear, inviting barefoot passage through natural pools and over gentle cascades. Sunlight filters down in narrow beams, illuminating water droplets as they fall like stars. The further you walk, the more surreal it becomes. An oasis carved into stone, hidden beneath layers of silence and heat. Birds nest in tiny alcoves above, and the air buzzes with a quiet electricity. Wadi bin Hamad isn't just a hidden gem. It's a secret garden, blooming where none should grow. In the heart of Namibia's Namib Desert, where ochre dunes rise and fall like petrified waves, there lies a place where time has stood still. Dedvlei, once a fertile marsh fed by a now shifted river. This pan is now a canvas of white clay, scorched under an endless blue sky, and dotted with the skeletal remains of camel thorn trees that died over 600 years ago. Their charcoal black limbs stand frozen, unrotted by the dry air, reaching toward the heavens in a silent, agonized ballet. The contrast is staggering. Red dunes tower around the basin like sand giants, their spines illuminated gold at sunrise and flaming crimson at sunset. The trees, dark and immobile, seem like figures from a forgotten mythology, each one a character in an ancient tale suspended in time. Photographers revere Dedvlei as one of Earth's most surreal landscapes. A single shot here carries 1,000 textures: cracked clay underfoot, the impossibly smooth arc of the dunes, the stark geometry of dead wood. Footage often lingers long, allowing the stillness to speak. There is no wind some days, no sound at all. Just you, the sand, and the echo of epochs past. To walk into Dedvlei is to enter a painting that no brush could recreate. The sun sears down, shadows fall sharp and long, and the sheer scale of the desert humbles everything. This is not a place meant to be lived in. It is a place to be witnessed, to be felt. A place that reminds you the earth has moods and memory. That once a river flowed, a forest grew, and now only beauty remains in silence. Dedvlei does not mourn what was lost. It honors it, etched forever in sun, sand, and shadow. Hidden beneath the sapphire swells of the Indian Ocean, just off the coast of Mauritius, lies a vision so impossibly perfect, it feels like an illusion cast by the sea itself. The underwater waterfall illusion, a visual phenomenon near Le Morne, Brabant, that, from above, appears as a mighty waterfall plummeting into the abyss. Yet it is merely sand and silt dancing through currents along the drop-off of the ocean floor. To witness it from a helicopter is to be suspended above a miracle. The coastline curves in lush green, Le Morne Mountain rises in stoic grandeur, and then suddenly the sea opens. The blues darken, deepen, spiral. Sand trails off like smoke through an invisible portal, a cascade without sound, tumbling forever into blue. It is a visual symphony composed by wind, water, and gravity, and no man-made artifice can compare. From sea level, the illusion disappears. The water remains impossibly clear, the reef vibrant with life, parrotfish flashing neon hues, turtles gliding like gentle ghosts, corals pulsing with subtle movement. But it is from above that this secret is revealed. There is no danger in it, only wonder, a trick of light and depth that turns geology into spectacle. The site lies just beyond the shallow reef lagoon, where turquoise fades into cobalt and coral gardens give way to ocean trenches. Le Morne itself, once a refuge for escaped slaves and now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, adds to the sacredness of the landscape. It's not just the illusion that makes this place special. It's the layers of history, the fusion of myth and geography, the harmony of air, land, and sea. Pilots know to hover slowly, to let the view soak in. Tourists fall into hush. Words are inadequate. The illusion touches something older than logic, whispering that the world still holds secrets grand enough to silence even the most restless mind. Tucked away in the mountainous folds of Puebla, the village of Quetzalan rises like a living tapestry of cobblestone streets, misty mornings, and terracotta rooftops. The scent of freshly ground coffee drifts through the air from tiny cafes where locals gather. Brightly embroidered textiles spill from market stalls, their colors echoing the tropical flowers blooming along the edges of stone stairways. Clouds often descend into the narrow streets, softening every sound and giving the town the feel of a suspended moment in time. Waterfalls tumble in the surrounding jungle, hidden down narrow trails that feel like passages into a greener, quieter world. On the coast of Michoacán, Playa Maruata stretches wild and untouched, where rugged cliffs break into arcs of golden sand. Pelicans skim the surface of rolling waves, and the sound of the surf fills the air with a steady, low roar. Rocky outcrops create small coves where the water glows emerald in the sunlight. At night, the stars are so bright they reflect on the surface of the sea, and the only light comes from the moon's silver path stretching toward the horizon. The ocean here feels untamed, yet deeply welcoming to those who linger long enough to match its rhythm. High in the Andes of northern Peru, above a sea of clouds and jungle-wrapped cliffs, the fortress of Cuelap rises like a stone crown atop the mountain. Built by the Chachapoya civilization, older than the Incas and nearly as mysterious, this walled city is wrapped in moss, mystery, and mist. It is larger than Machu Picchu, yet barely known. The walls are monstrous, some 30 feet high, formed from blocks of limestone so large it seems impossible they were lifted by human hands. The silence here is thick, broken only by the cry of eagles gliding in wide circles above the treetops. Inside the fortress, circular stone houses crumble gently into the grass, their foundations still etched with geometric symbols of power, sun, and spirit. Trees grow from the ancient stone, roots curling down walls like time itself reclaiming its throne. Fog rolls in often, wrapping Cuelap in a soft shroud that makes every step feel like a passage through memory. Orchids grow wild, and hummingbirds hover like living sparks above them. There is no fanfare, no entry gates, no tourist chatter. Only the weight of forgotten stories in every stone. Standing at the summit, looking out over the river canyons and jungle lowlands below, one feels less like a visitor and more like a ghost drifting through the remnants of a kingdom time chose to veil. Between the jagged folds of Albania's accursed mountains, a ribbon of untouched sapphire winds its way through limestone canyons. The Lumi I Shales, often dubbed the Thailand of the Balkans for its surreal beauty. But unlike its far-off namesake, this river is a well-kept secret, whispered only by hikers and wanderers who ventured into its embrace. The water here is impossibly clear, revealing smoothed white stones beneath, as if the earth itself was sculpted by serenity. Dense forests hem the riverbanks, their green reflecting in liquid light. Boats with hand-carved bows skim the surface in silence, as if unwilling to disturb the sacred stillness. Towering cliffs rise abruptly on both sides, their summits sometimes crowned in fog that softens the world into a dream. Small wooden platforms dot the river's edge, offering quiet perches where time dissolves into the lull of water and wind. Lumi I Shales is not a destination. It is a passage, a baptism into the hidden majesty of Europe's forgotten frontiers. Tucked away on the Atlantic coast of Morocco lies Legzira Beach, a landscape painted in elemental grandeur and colored with fire and storm. Towering red sandstone arches rise from the surf, like the ribcage of some ancient beast, carved by millennia of wind and tide. At low tide, the arches become colossal gateways, framing a horizon of crashing waves and endless sky. The beach is rarely crowded, and as dusk settles, the fading light bathes the rocks in molten gold, transforming the coast into a mythic canvas. Gulls wheel overhead, their cries echoing off cliff walls streaked with mineral veins. There's a rawness here, a feral poetry born of Earth's conflict with sea, of time grinding stone into sculpture. Even the sand glows in hues of burnt orange and crimson, an otherworldly palette that shifts with every hour of light. Legzira is not just seen, it is felt in the salt on your lips, in the wind through your hair, in the quiet awe that steals your breath when you stand beneath an arch and realize how small you are beneath the bones of time. In the untouched corners of Kyrgyzstan's Tian Shan Mountains lies a landscape so vibrant, so improbable, it seems to defy geography, the Skazka Canyon, or Fairy Tale Canyon. This forgotten gorge, nestled near the banks of Lake Issyk-Kul, is a kaleidoscope of eroded sandstone and surreal formations, sculpted by time into towers, dragons, and spires. The canyon breathes in silence, painted in every shade of rust, gold, and crimson, as if fire once licked its flanks and left color in its wake. The air here is thin, sharp with the tang of mineral dust, and the sky above stretches impossibly wide, deep cobalt by day, sequined with stars by night. There are no fences here, no signs, only raw earth and wind. Wandering through Skazka is like stepping into a storybook before the pages were written. Each rock a character, each shadow a forgotten fable. It's a world imagined by nature and left for dreamers to discover. Beyond the lush valleys and bamboo groves of northern Laos, there lies a cave so vast it seems to swallow light itself. Kong Lor Cave, a subterranean cathedral carved by the Hinboon River. The journey begins in a sleepy riverside village where wooden boats glide soundlessly across jade-colored water. Then, without fanfare, the river disappears into the mouth of the cave and into darkness, Inside, time stretches. The walls rise to impossible heights, arching like the ceiling of a lost temple. Shadows ripple across the water, caught in the gentle glow of headlamps, and the sound of the engine is muffled by 1,000 tons of rock. Stalactites drip from the ceiling like melting chandeliers, and narrow passages open suddenly into colossal chambers. It's a realm that feels alien, a dream world carved in limestone and darkness. And when you emerge, hours later, into a hidden valley on the other side, untouched, silent, alive, you feel as though you've passed through the underworld and been reborn. Far out in the Indian Ocean, 1,000 kilometers from any continent, floats a speck of volcanic perfection, La Digue, the secret jewel of the Seychelles. Unlike its more developed neighbors, La Digue feels untouched, a reverie of sand and stone and sea where bicycles outnumber cars and time itself seems lulled by the tide. The island's crown jewel is Anse Source d'Argent, a beach so staggeringly beautiful it feels fictional. Towering granite boulders, smooth as sculpture and veined with salt, rise from pale pink sand and stretch into crystal shallows so clear they seem backlit. Palm trees sway above, and the water shifts from turquoise to teal to sapphire, a kaleidoscope of light in motion. Video footage glides across this scene like a brushstroke, sunbeams dancing through the water, shadows falling across the stone, waves curling with hypnotic rhythm. But there's more than just beauty here. La Digue holds the kind of stillness that rearranges your heartbeat. There's a trail through the jungle, past vanilla vines and breadfruit trees, leading to secret coves where no footprints linger. Tortoises roam free, ancient and slow, like the island's soul made visible. Fishermen sing as they mend nets beneath leaning palms. Everything feels like a lullaby, gentle, unhurried, luminous. Sunsets ignite the granite in molten gold, casting long silhouettes that lean into the sea like lovers caught in an eternal embrace. La Digue doesn't just dazzle the eyes, it seduces the spirit. It's not built for spectacle, but for presence. You don't come here to see. You come to feel, to let the sand warm your skin, the breeze braid your thoughts, the tide wash away the noise of everything else. It's not just a hidden paradise. It's a hush that lives in salt and stone and light. In the farthest reaches of the Philippines, nestled among the lush archipelagos of Palawan, lies a hidden lagoon so crystalline it appears as though the earth herself carved a mirror to reflect paradise. Big Lagoon in El Nido is no ordinary body of water. It is a sacred corridor through jagged karst cliffs that rise like blackened cathedrals from the sea, their spires draped in tropical green. Paddle slowly into its narrow entrance, and the world grows quiet. The only sound is the gentle lapping of water against your kayak, the occasional rustle of leaves high above, and the distant echo of bird calls carried on the wind. The water below is impossibly clear. Every coral, every fish, every ripple on the sand is visible in crystalline detail. It is as if the ocean itself has turned to glass. As you glide deeper into the lagoon, the cliffs tighten around you, closing the world in. Sunlight filters through in beams, catching the sparkle of the water and turning the surface into a dance of liquid diamonds. Jellyfish the size of coins drift harmlessly past, iridescent and unhurried. Above, vines dangle like nature's chandeliers, swaying in a rhythm older than the tides. Midway in, the lagoon opens wide into a silent cathedral of turquoise. The water glows in hues that defy naming, somewhere between jade and sapphire, aquamarine and moonlight. Here, floating on your back in absolute stillness, the cliffs rising on all sides, one can hear the heartbeat of the world itself. Time softens, worry dissolves. The only truth is the feeling of being wholly and utterly embraced by nature. There are no engines here, no crowds, just a few lucky souls who've discovered this sanctuary and speak of it only in hushed tones. Big Lagoon is not for the rushed. It asks you to slow, to breathe, to surrender. And in that surrender, it offers something rare, serenity that feels like revelation. High in the mountains of Jalisco, the village of Mazamitla rests beneath a canopy of towering pines, its red-tiled rooftops and whitewashed walls glowing in the afternoon sun. The streets are lined with artisan shops, their wooden beams carved with delicate patterns, and the scent of fresh tortillas drifts from open doorways. Beyond the town, narrow trails wind into the forest, where hidden waterfalls tumble into mossy pools. The air is cool and fragrant with pine resin, and the quiet is broken only by the sound of wind through the trees and the occasional call of a distant bird. In the heart of Quintana Roo, Laguna Bacalar's Cenote Azul plunges into an almost perfectly round pool of dark sapphire water. The surrounding jungle leans over the edge, casting patterns of shadow on the surface. Its depths seem endless, the clarity of the water revealing nothing but deepening shades of blue as you gaze down. The air is still, save for the gentle sound of ripples against the shore, and the temperature drops noticeably as you approach the water's edge. Swimming here feels like being enveloped by a living gemstone. High in the jungle-covered limestone karsts of northern Laos, the village of Nong Kiao unfurls beside the lazy Nam U River like a watercolor painting brought to life. Mist settles in the folds of the mountains every morning, as though the earth is still waking from a 1,000-year slumber. Wooden boats drift silently along the jade waters, casting soft ripples in their path. The cliffs that surround the village rise steeply, their surfaces carved with the secrets of time, sheltering vines, orchids, and sleeping bats in their crags. Life here is slow, but it pulses with clarity. Children laugh in the river's shallows, their voices carrying in the still air. Roosters call from bamboo pens. Monks in saffron robes cross rickety bridges with bare feet, moving like whispers through the forest. At sunset, the entire valley turns gold, light bending over the peaks and bleeding into the river, making the world shimmer with impossible warmth. Lanterns glow in windows, and the scent of lemongrass and wood smoke lingers in the twilight. From the hilltop viewpoint, the panorama is staggering, a serpent river winding between mountains like a lullaby etched into the skin of the earth. Nong Kiao is not a spectacle. It's a sanctuary of slowness, of softness, and it leaves a mark no camera could ever fully capture. High in the Colombian Andes lies a realm of surreal luminosity, Caño Cristales, the river of 5 colors, a liquid kaleidoscope whose waters shimmer in radiant hues of red, yellow, green, blue, and black. For much of the year, this river is unassuming, but from July to November, a miraculous bloom of aquatic plants called Macarenia clavigera transforms its currents into a living painting. The colors are not reflections or tricks of light, but rather a spectacle of biology, a blooming of liquid fire beneath the water's skin. It flows through ancient rock channels, past waterfalls that tumble like silver veils and pools as still as polished glass. Hikers wind through Los Llanos' wild savannas to reach this marvel, following trails flanked by exotic flora and serenaded by the calls of rare birds. Here, each step brings a new panorama, a new cascade of light and color. Caño Cristales is more than a river. It is a cosmic event grounded in earth, a sacred dance of life's hidden pigments, exposed only to those who seek it with reverence and wonder. Hidden in the highlands of Laos, near the border with Vietnam, is the remote village of Sop Chem, a place not found on most maps but echoing with the heartbeat of ancient ways. The Nam U River cradles the village, its waters moving like molten jade through narrow canyons carved by centuries of monsoon rain. Wooden homes perch on stilts above the forest floor, surrounded by terraces of rice that shift in color with the season, emerald in the wet months, golden in the harvest. The air is thick with the scent of frangipani and wood smoke, and evenings bring a hush punctuated only by the calls of cicadas and the rhythmic tapping of looms weaving silk. Life here unfolds not in hours, but in patterns. The rhythm of seasons, the pulse of harvests, the quiet passing of cloud shadows over the mountains. Travelers arrive by longboat, stepping onto mist-draped shores that feel like the edge of a forgotten world. Sop Chem offers no spectacle, but the unfiltered magic of existence itself, glowing softly under a sky untroubled by haste. High above the Andean clouds in northern Peru, lost amid the folds of jungle and mist, sits the fortress of Cuelap, a city in the sky, older than the Inca, yet shrouded in mystery. Massive stone walls, some rising over 60 feet high, encircle this mountaintop citadel like the ramparts of a forgotten realm. Built by the Chachapoya people, known as the Warriors of the Clouds, Cuelap is a labyrinth of circular stone homes, ceremonial platforms, and moss-covered staircases. The jungle presses in on all sides, reclaiming what was once teeming with life. Vines curl around carved stones, and orchids bloom from ancient cracks. When the mist rolls in, it cloaks everything in spectral softness, transforming the ruins into a dream half-remembered. Unlike its famous cousin to the south, Cuelap remains quiet, undiscovered by the currents of global tourism. But to walk its misty corridors is to hear the echo of civilizations long past, a whisper in the fog, waiting to be heard again. Off the southern coast of Iceland, battered by winds and waves, stands a lone sea stack of legend, Vitserkur. Rising 15 meters from the North Atlantic, it's shaped uncannily like a prehistoric beast caught mid-drink, its arching form etched with the scars of millennia. Seabirds wheel and cry around its flanks, nesting in crags and hollows. At low tide, a path of black sand and scattered stone leads to its base, and the ocean laps quietly at your feet. The sky here is often tempestuous, roiling clouds, shafts of light, sudden bursts of snow or sun, but that only adds to the elemental drama. Vitserkur doesn't feel like part of the earth. It feels older, as though it rose from myth rather than magma. Its basalt base glimmers when wet, streaked with the salt and fury of endless tides. To stand before it is to witness a monument not to man, but to the wild, restless heart of nature itself. Far beneath the mountains of Slovenia, under a thick crust of limestone, an underground river has sculpted a cathedral of unimaginable scale, Scotian caves. Unlike any other cave system in Europe, Scotian isn't a series of narrow crawl spaces. It is a subterranean canyon, a yawning abyss where the Reka River thunders through chambers so large they seem to defy physics. Upon entering, the temperature drops instantly. Your footsteps echo off unseen walls. Then you come to the Great Hall, and breath leaves the body like steam. The ceiling vaults 100 meters overhead. A narrow bridge stretches across the void, shrouded in mist, suspended above roaring black water. It's a bridge that looks like it leads to myth. Lights hidden in the rock illuminate columns and draperies of stone, calcite formations frozen in time, glistening like the ruins of a crystal palace. The noise is immense. Not chaotic, but orchestral. Water pounding, wind howling through caverns, the occasional drip of cave tears falling into darkness. Videos from inside reveal the vastness with reverent camera work. Wide angles catching the trembling light on stalactites. Close shots of the river boiling through stone trenches. Drone clips that ascend into chambers like helicopters into alien temples. This place doesn't feel of this world. It feels like something the planet dreamed when it was still young. You emerge dazed, blinking in the light, as if coming back from an epic you never intended to live. Scotian isn't just a hidden place. It's a hidden dimension, a cathedral of time, forged not by hands but by the insistent fingers of water and stone. Deep in the Malaysian state of Sarawak, within the emerald lungs of Borneo, lies a realm beneath the earth where daylight dares not tread. This is the Mulu Cave system, a subterranean world so vast and intricate, it stretches imagination to its breaking point. Among these caverns is the Sarawak Chamber, the largest known cave chamber in the world, so immense it could fit 40 Boeing 747s without their wings touching. To enter is to leave behind the world of sound and sun and descend into the earth's quiet cathedral. The limestone walls are sculpted with the care of centuries. Pillars of stone rise like organ pipes into darkness, and in some sections, the cave ceilings vanish into black voids where even light feels swallowed. Beneath your feet, subterranean rivers snake through narrow chasms, their gurgles and splashes echoing into infinite space. The air is damp, ancient, and tinged with the musky scent of guano and minerals. In the massive deer cave, millions of bats cling to the roof like shifting shadows. Each evening, they pour out in a vast, swirling cyclone, an exodus so precise and powerful it looks like smoke being pulled by an invisible hand. Watching this unfold at twilight, with the jungle silhouetted against a burning sky, is to witness a phenomenon untouched by modernity. Farther in, the Clearwater Cave system hides an underground river that glows in filtered beams of light, its waters so clear and cold they seem unreal. Faint echoes of dripping water form a meditative rhythm, punctuated only by the soft flutters of unseen wings. Stalactites hang like frozen daggers above pools of obsidian darkness, and columns of stone stretch skyward in silent reverence. The deeper one goes, the more the cave transforms from a geological wonder into something spiritual. It feels like being within the Earth's secret heart, protected and untouched, suspended in eternal twilight. Here, the pulse of the planet beats slow and steady, echoing in every step and every breath. Far from crowded beaches, the sands of Playa Balandra in Baja California curve into a sheltered bay where the water is so shallow and calm it glows in pale shades of mint and silver. Sandbars ripple underfoot, soft and smooth, while hills of rust-red rock cradle the bay in quiet isolation. The seafloor slopes so gently that you can walk far from shore with the water barely reaching your knees. At sunset, the sky ignites in gold and rose, the bay mirroring every shade until the line between sea and sky is lost entirely. In the Sierra Madre Occidental, the small town of Batopilas hides deep within the Copper Canyons, accessible only by winding roads that cling to cliffsides. The colonial streets are lined with faded pastel facades, and the Rio Batopilas flows quietly nearby, its surface broken only by the occasional fish leaping into the air. Mountains rise steep and green on either side, their peaks lost in drifting clouds. Life moves slowly here, in sync with the rhythm of the river, and every corner feels steeped in stories whispered by the stones themselves. Veiled behind the rugged coastlines of southern Italy, high above the Amalfi crowds and far from the polished beaches, lies the wild, weather-beaten village of Civita di Bagnoregio. Balanced on a cliff of eroding volcanic rock and reachable only by a footbridge suspended in the sky, this tiny hamlet appears like an apparition. Isolated, improbable, hauntingly beautiful. As you approach, the bridge feels less like a path and more like a portal, carrying you through time. The village itself is a tangle of ivy-cloaked stone, arched walkways, and crooked alleyways that bloom with wildflowers in spring and glow amber under the setting sun. Every brick bears the weight of centuries. Bells ring faintly from a weathered church tower, echoing across the vast canyon that surrounds the village like a protective moat carved by time itself. On misty mornings, Civita seems to levitate, its foundations hidden by clouds, its outline blurred like a dream half remembered. Life here is slow, deliberate. Locals tend to gardens that hang from crumbling balconies. Children chase cats through quiet lanes. There are no cars, no shops that glitter. Only the sound of your footsteps on ancient stone and the distant rustle of olive trees leaning into the breeze. Civita doesn't offer escape. It offers remembrance of what it means to live lightly, in tune with beauty, perched at the very edge of the world. Rising from the dense jungles of western Cambodia, the temple complex of Banteay Chmar lies in tranquil ruin, far from the crowds of Angkor. Entwined with vines and the encroaching arms of fig trees, these forgotten stones still sing the tales of ancient Khmer kings and battles long since consumed by time. The reliefs are masterpieces, walls etched with gods, dancers, and celestial armies, their faces blurred by centuries of rain and moss. There is no ticket queue here, no guide with a megaphone, only the sound of wind filtering through crumbling towers and the soft scurry of geckos across sandstone. Light pours through collapsed ceilings like holy fire, illuminating corridors swallowed by foliage. This is a temple meant for solitude, for quiet wonder. Here, history breathes heavily, and the forest listens. Banteay Chmar is not just a ruin. It is a poem written in stone and shadow, a sacred relic half swallowed by time, yet still singing in the silence. Deep within the heart of the Peruvian Amazon, beyond the reach of main tributaries and well-worn eco-lodges, lies the mystical reserve of Tamchiacu Tahuayo. It's a realm where the jungle sings in layers, monkeys calling from the canopy, frogs chirping in the underbrush, and unseen wings brushing against the night. The forest here breathes differently. Lianas coil like serpents around century-old trees, and phosphorescent fungi glow faintly in the under canopy, like the forest's quiet pulse. Canoes drift silently along blackwater creeks, their surfaces mirroring the emerald cathedral above. River dolphins appear like whispers in the current, brief flashes of pink among the reeds. Shamans from remote communities speak of the forest as a living being, a teacher, a guardian. Medicinal plants grow in secret groves, their uses passed down in chants and dreams. To enter Tamchiacu Tahuayo is not to visit, but to surrender, to the rhythm of the rain, the hush of leaf fall, and the timeless lullaby of nature in its most primal form. In the deserts of central Iran, nestled against wind-sculpted hills, the village of Abiane glows with a haunting, rose-colored elegance. Its houses, made from red ochre clay, climb the slopes like forgotten verses of an ancient poem. Every door is a portal into time, Centuries-old woodwork, blue-painted windows, intricate lattice screens guarding quiet interiors. The elderly women of Abyanne still wear their traditional floral shawls and bloomers, as though fashion has no bearing in a village so timeless. The scent of wood smoke and rosewater hangs in the air, mingling with the dry, mineral wind that whispers through alleys. The mountain looms behind, silent and vast, and shadows stretch long in the golden hour, painting the town in hues of cinnamon and flame. At night, the stars spill across the sky like crushed diamonds, and the silence deepens into something sacred. Abyanne doesn't demand attention. It invites reverence, like a forgotten lullaby sung softly across the sands of time. Cradled in the emerald arms of the Carpathian Mountains, Romania's Apuseni Natural Park is a theater of subtle grandeur. Here, the drama is not of towering cliffs or crashing waves, but of hidden glades bathed in golden light, moss-covered grottos, and rivers that vanish into underground labyrinths. The forest is ancient, alive, branches gnarled like old hands, trunks bearing the scars of centuries. At sunrise, a thin mist curls through the trees, and the forest floor glistens with dew like a field of scattered stars. The air is filled with the murmur of unseen springs, the rustle of foxes in the underbrush, and the occasional call of a distant owl. Beneath the earth, the Scarasawara ice cave holds a glacier older than the pyramids, encased in a cathedral of stone and frost. Flickering torchlight reveals curtains of ice, stalactites frozen in eternal descent. Above, shepherd paths wind through meadows ablaze with wildflowers, and wooden crosses mark the places where heaven and earth are said to meet. The Apuseni is not loud in its beauty. It whispers it deeply, eternally. In the untouched interior of Papua New Guinea lies a volcanic caldera swallowed by jungle, Lake Kutubu. Few places on the planet feel so utterly detached from time. Ringed by dense emerald forest and fed by subterranean springs, the lake pulses with serenity and secrecy. Its waters are a surreal aquamarine, constantly shifting hues beneath cloud-shadowed skies and fringed by pandanus palms and orchids. The lake's shores are home to the Fo and Fasu people, whose lives intertwine with the lake in stories, fishing, and sacred song. No motorboats, no resorts, only dugout canoes skimming its surface and villages raised on stilts over the shallows. Footage from the air captures the lake like a lost world, perfectly oval, veiled in morning mist, its forest canopy alive with birds of paradise. Beneath the surface swim species of fish found nowhere else on Earth, their scales catching light like flakes of bronze and green. When rain falls, the lake does not darken. It gleams, every drop creating ripples that shimmer outward like a sacred pulse. The surrounding jungle is impenetrable in places, and the silence is profound. No highways, no towns, just the sound of insects, bird calls, and the distant rhythm of water against wood. To visit Lake Kutubu is to feel the world before the noise, to see how humanity once lived in harmony with mystery. You leave with the weight of beauty in your chest, the sense that something rare still breathes here, and that you were allowed, for a moment, to listen. On the shores of Oaxaca's Pacific coast, Punta Cometa stretches into the sea as the southernmost point of the state. From its rocky cliffs, the view of the ocean is endless, waves crashing far below with a rhythm that seems eternal. At sunset, the horizon blazes in shades of orange and crimson, the water catching every flicker of color. The wind carries the sharp tang of salt, and seabirds wheel overhead, their silhouettes tracing arcs against the fading sky. In the fertile valleys of Morelos, The town of Tepoztlan sits beneath the towering cliffs of Tepozteco Mountain. The streets are alive with music, the aroma of freshly made quesadillas, and the bright chatter of markets. A steep trail leads up the mountainside to the ancient Tepozteco Pyramid, where the view opens across a patchwork of fields, villages, and distant ridges. The climb is steep, but the air is rich with the scent of earth and blooming flowers, and the wind at the summit feels like it carries the breath of the entire valley. Hidden within the folds of the Japanese Alps, a hidden village slumbers beneath a thatched roof of snow. Shirakawa-go is not a mirage, though it feels like a memory carved into the edge of time. Thatched Gasho Zukuri houses, shaped like hands pressed together in prayer, dot the valley like ancient charms laid carefully into the land. In winter, snow falls thick and slow, burying the village in a white so pure it glows beneath the moon. Smoke curls from chimneys as if from the lips of old spirits. Inside, warm light glows from paper lanterns and old wood crackles in fire pits. Water from mountain springs flows through narrow channels, undisturbed for centuries. During twilight, the world softens. Shadows stretch gently across rice paddies dusted with frost, and the air holds a stillness that whispers of monks, lullabies, and lost tales. Fireflies flicker in the warmer months, dancing like forgotten souls above the fields. No billboards, no wires overhead, no distant highways humming. Only the lullaby of wind across rooftops and the heartbeat of the mountains wrapped around it all. To walk its paths is to slip into an old dream, one too delicate for the modern world. Encircled by mist-draped mountains and dense tropical foliage, this sacred lake exists in an ancient rhythm, its surface whispering secrets passed down through generations. The light dances off the ripples in hushed reverence, revealing a clarity so pure you can see the lake bed as though gazing through crystal. Surrounding villages, home to the Fo and Fasu tribes, still live by the pulse of the land, untouched by modern haste. Their canoes glide silently across the mirror-like surface, their songs rising like incantations to the spirits of the water. Time here folds inward, surrendering to nature's breath, to the rustling palms, to the hush of an eagle's flight over the water. Lake Kutubu doesn't just dazzle the eye, it seduces the soul into stillness, into awe. In the heart of Iran's lesser-treaded Alborz Mountains lies the fairy tale village of Masule, cascading down the rugged slopes like a sunlit secret carved into stone. Houses are built so close and stacked in such a way that the rooftop of one serves as the courtyard of another, creating a vertical tapestry of ochre and clay. Mist coils through the narrow passageways like ancient spirits tracing the past. Lantern light flickers in windows during twilight, reflecting a golden hush upon cobblestone alleys. From high above, the village looks like a living sculpture, born of earth and legend. In the mornings, a blanket of cloud settles just beneath the rooftops, making it seem as if the village floats on a celestial sea. Traders in traditional garb open wooden shutters to reveal spices, handcrafted copper, and wool woven in ageless patterns. A place where architecture hugs the mountainside, and silence is broken only by the rustle of wind over clay rooftops. Masule is a sanctuary where time exhales softly and dreams are stitched into the land. On the windswept edge of the Namib Desert, hidden behind dunes that stretch like frozen waves, lies the hauntingly beautiful ghost town of Kolmanskop. Once a thriving diamond boomtown, now a sand-filled relic of faded opulence, Kolmanskop is where nature reclaims what man tried to conquer. Sunlight slants through shattered windows, illuminating abandoned ballrooms buried waist-deep in ochre sand. Wallpaper peels like tired skin from cracked walls, and the wind sighs through forgotten doorways with voices of the past. Every room is a scene from an otherworldly dream, chairs half sunken in drifted sand, staircases that lead to nowhere, and pianos whose notes have long been swallowed by silence. Despite its decay, Kolmanskop holds a strange, melancholic beauty. At dawn, the town glows golden, bathed in the same light that once shimmered on diamonds. It is a museum without walls, where every grain of sand carries a story, and every shadow hints at a memory that refuses to be erased. Rising from the verdant forests of Sri Lanka's central highlands is a place that seems born from legend, Lake Gala, a jagged monolith of rock soaring abruptly from the jungle floor. Lake Gala is as imposing as it is enigmatic. Shrouded in myth as the resting place of the demon king Ravana, it looms with a kind of sentient presence. Climbing Lake Gala is a test of nerve and reverence, the path winding through whispering trees and moss-slick boulders before giving way to sheer stone. At its summit, the world uncoils in emerald swells, the Knuckles mountain range folding upon itself like a sleeping dragon. Mist curls along the ridges in serpentine trails, and the calls of unseen birds echo through the valleys like ancestral voices. There are no handrails here, no crowds, no noise, only the raw, untouched breath of a land older than memory. To stand atop Lake Agala is to touch a secret etched into the earth. At the edge of the Cyclades, where the Aegean Sea folds into secrecy and sunlight, lies a cliff-bound sanctuary known only to those who search, Folegandros. Unlike its flashier island siblings, Santorini and Mykonos, Folegandros remains hushed, wild, fiercely beautiful. The village of Kora perches on the very lip of a cliff, its whitewashed houses glowing like bone against the cobalt sea. Narrow paths wind through squares shaded by bougainvillea and fig trees, past shuttered blue doors and lantern-lit cafes where locals still speak the ancient dialect of the sea. But it's not the village alone that captivates. It's the way the entire island unfolds like a stage set for introspection. There are no cars in Kora, only footsteps and voices. No resorts, only guest houses hidden within stone alleys and caves carved into cliffs. The land is rugged, austere, and honest, and the light, oh the light, turns everything sacred. One path leads up to the Panagia Church, which rests like a shell on the spine of the hill. The ascent is carved in white stone, and at sunset, every curve is set aflame in gold. You arrive breathless, not just from the climb, but from the silence. Below, the sea stretches beyond sight. Above, the sky opens like a hymn. Footage here is simple, unobtrusive. Handheld walks through stone corridors, drone sweeps of cliffs dissolving into waves, candlelit courtyards murmuring with life. Folegandros isn't dramatic in the usual way. Its drama is internal, emotional. It's in the way the wind strokes your hair, the way salt clings to your skin, the way each meal is an offering and each sunset a benediction. You don't visit Folegandros to check a box. You come to remember stillness, to relearn beauty, to touch the edge of the world and feel it breathe. In the far reaches of Canada's Northwest Territories, cradled between the granite shields of the Mackenzie Mountains, lies a hidden world of water and fire. Nilicho, Virginia Falls, thunders down the Nahanni River in a furious cascade nearly twice the height of Niagara, yet barely a whisper of it reaches the public imagination. The Nahanni National Park Reserve is no ordinary park. It is wilderness in its purest form, a land of myth and mist, where the veil between the known and the sacred wears thin. To reach it is an expedition, by float plane over infinite forests, or by canoe through narrow river corridors etched by glaciers and time. And then you arrive at the precipice. The roar of Virginia Falls announces itself long before it's seen. The land trembles with its song, a deep, resonant thrum that reverberates through bone and sky. When it comes into view, it steals the breath. The river, wide and stately, narrows to a furious boil, surging toward a brink that splits around a massive rock named Mason's Rock. The water shatters into vapor and thunder, plunging 96 meters into the misty depths below. Rainbows arc in the spray, sometimes 3 at a time, shifting with each minute of sunlight. The cliff walls are steep, green with moss and slick with mist, home to rare orchids and nesting peregrine falcons. Below the falls, the river calms into deep pools flanked by rock that has not changed since the earth was young. Steam rises from hot springs hidden in the forest, where the land breathes warmth into the cold northern air. The Dean people consider this place sacred, a place of spirits, of deep medicine, where dreams walk beside the waking. Their stories linger in the trees, in the rocks, in the rush of water that never sleeps. On the Gulf Coast, the small town of Tlacotalpan drapes itself in a palette of bright pastels. Colonial buildings line the cobblestone streets, their wrought iron balconies overflowing with potted plants. The Papaloapan River flows gently along the town's edge, its surface turning gold under the late afternoon sun. Music drifts from doorways, and the air is warm with the scent of freshly baked bread and river breeze. Every corner offers a glimpse into a slower, sweeter way of life. Deep in the desert of Baja California Sur, the Sierra de la Laguna Mountains hide lush oases fed by springs. Palm trees rise over clear pools, where water trickles over smooth stone. The shade is cool here, a stark contrast to the sun-bleached desert beyond. Birds dart through the branches, and the sound of water mingles with the rustle of fronds. The trail to these hidden pockets winds through canyons and across rocky ridges, rewarding the journey with an unexpected paradise. Tucked beneath a veil of mist and mystery, Mount Roraima stands like a dream that forgot it belonged to this world. Nestled at the intersection of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, this tabletop mountain rises from the jungle like the remnant of an ancient god's forgotten throne. Its cliffs drop vertically for over 1,300 feet, an unscalable wall of stone that disappears into clouds. Above, the summit is a land unto itself, alien, prehistoric, impossibly surreal. Rain falls sideways, caught by gusts of wind that spiral around the plateau like wild spirits. The rocks are dark and cragged, shaped into forms that defy reason, mushroom-like towers, endless crevices, natural labyrinths. Pools of pure rainwater mirror the gray skies, while strange plants, some found nowhere else on Earth, cling to life on the rocky surface. Frogs no bigger than a fingernail leap between puddles, their bright colors glinting in the gloom. The summit is often shrouded in cloud, and when it parts, the view is unlike anything imaginable. A sea of green stretching endlessly, broken only by the occasional silhouette of another tepue rising like a forgotten fortress. The journey here is not easy. It is earned. But once atop Roraima, you feel like an intruder in Eden, standing on a page ripped from the planet's first chapter. On the outermost edge of Japan's Ryukyu archipelago, where the Pacific whispers tales to the East China Sea, lies the island of Yonaguni. a windswept, mythical speck brushed by currents and lore. Most arrive chasing legends of the Yonaguni Monument, a submerged rock formation that some say is a sunken city from a forgotten civilization. But even above the waves, Yonaguni dazzles with ethereal charm. Cliffs plunge into crystalline waters where hammerhead sharks roam, and the air holds a salt-tinged quiet broken only by rustling cane fields and the distant thrum of waves on coral. Herds of Yonaguni horses, small and hardy, wander freely across green hills where sky and sea converge in impossible blues. The coastlines are unspoiled, scalloped with coves that glow in morning light like scattered jewels. Time folds here into a peaceful rhythm, measured by the tides and the flight of seabirds. Whether myth or miracle, Yonaguni is a place that wears its mystery like a crown, inviting, unknowable, and achingly beautiful. Concealed deep within the mountain folds of Montenegro is the village of Lukomir, a stone-clad haven perched above the Rakitnica Canyon at an elevation where the world thins and the winds speak in tongues. With only a handful of weathered houses topped with slanted slate roofs, Lukomir stands as the highest and most isolated permanent settlement in the Balkans. There are no paved roads here, only trails worn into the earth by centuries of shepherds and snow. From the village's edge, the canyon drops suddenly, revealing a chasm of dizzying depth and beauty, its walls carved by glaciers and time. The landscape is wild and sweeping, meadows dappled with wildflowers, peaks that shred clouds, and air so clear it rings like crystal in the lungs. The people of Lukomir live as their ancestors did, herding, weaving, harvesting the gifts of mountain life. Their hospitality is raw and genuine, offered with weathered hands and eyes that have seen both storm and sun. In Lukomir, each breath feels earned, each moment cradled in silence and sky. Beneath the luminous skies of New Zealand's South Island, wrapped in layers of ancient rainforest and crowned by snow-dusted peaks, the blue pools of Haast offer a vision of otherworldly clarity. Fed by glacier melt, the water here is so pristine, it turns an almost unnatural shade of turquoise, glowing beneath a canopy of beech trees like a gem nestled in the earth. A narrow suspension bridge stretches above the pools, its wooden planks creaking softly as you cross. From there, the depths below are revealed, glass clear and bottomless, reflecting the sky and forest in perfect symmetry. Trout hover motionless in the current, suspended as if in a dream, and the only sound is the rush of distant falls and the flutter of leaves. Even in a country famed for its cinematic landscapes, the blue pools feel like a secret, untouched, reverent. To stand on their edge is to feel time pause, the world held in perfect crystalline stillness. In the northern reaches of Pakistan's Hunza Valley, tucked beneath the soaring summits of the Karakoram, the village of Pasu gazes silently across one of the most awe-inspiring backdrops on the planet. Here, the cathedral-like Pasu cones rise in jagged procession, their knife-edge peaks dusted with eternal snow, reaching into a sky that blazes cobalt by day and erupts with stars by night. The air is sharp with altitude and silence, broken only by the whisper of glacial wind and the occasional cry of an eagle overhead. Ancient footbridges dangle over ice-fed rivers, and apricot orchards bloom defiantly against the harshness of the terrain. The land feels both eternal and ephemeral, as if suspended between earth and myth. Locals walk with quiet pride, their culture etched into the stones of centuries-old homes and the warmth of shared tea. Pasu is not just a place, it is a hymn to endurance, where beauty stands defiant against the elements, carved into the very bones of the mountains. In the remote reaches of western Mongolia, where the Altai Mountains rise like ancient sentinels above the steppe, lies a valley few ever lay eyes on, Tsagan Suvarga, or the White Stupa. Unlike the well-known flaming cliffs of Bayanzag, this landscape glows with a spectral grace. Towering sandstone formations bleached white and tinged with sunset pastels, rose, ochre, lilac, etched over millennia by wind and time. The formations spill across the land like the ruins of a forgotten alien temple, silent and immense. At dawn, the rising sun paints their edges with fire, while shadows stretch long across a desert that feels alive with memory. There are no fences, no signs, just vast open sky and rock that tells stories in silence. Travel here is a pilgrimage across plains where eagles wheel above and herders guide their camels through the dust. The journey is not easy. Bumpy roads, dry winds, long hours. But when you arrive, the earth opens up and inhales. Drone footage from above reveals a labyrinth of gullies and spires that twist and shimmer like watercolor on canvas. On foot, the silence is so complete, you hear the wind shifting grains of sand, the faint wing beat of a raven overhead. It is a place that asks nothing of you but presence. The locals, descendants of nomadic tribes, speak of the land with reverence, calling it a sacred fossil bed where ancient seas once whispered against these very stones. And perhaps that's what Tsagan Suvarga offers most, a sense of geologic time, of color shaped by the patience of eons, of beauty forged in solitude. It's not a destination, it's a meditation, the kind you don't find on maps, only in quiet moments when the world finally feels wide enough to breathe. Part of the endless green, held in the arms of the Earth's original dreaming, in the Scottish Highlands, hidden between the folds of mist-wrapped mountains, lies a glen untouched by time. Glen Etive. There are no grand signs or bustling crowds here, only a single-lane road curling through dramatic valleys and shadowed peaks. The land breathes with solemnity, its silence punctuated by the rush of waterfalls tumbling over ancient stone. Glen Etive does not beg to be noticed. It simply waits, magnificent and still. Rivers gleam like liquid silver, tracing elegant lines between heather-covered hills. Deer, quiet and watchful, stand in the open without fear, as if understanding that this place belongs to a different kind of rhythm. The mountains here don't shout. They look like ancient giants at rest, cloaked in ever-shifting veils of mist that drift and curl as though the very clouds are trying to linger a little longer over this sacred place. There's a quiet magic in the way the light moves, changing the color of the grass from emerald to gold within a heartbeat, painting the cliffs with shadows that dance and dissolve with each passing minute. Photographers and filmmakers know Glen Etive for its haunting beauty, yet even they cannot capture its full essence. To see it through a lens is to grasp only a fraction of what it offers to the naked soul. Walking here feels less like exploration and more like return. Return to a place untouched by the grasping hands of time, where the world speaks in hushes and hums, and every bend in the valley holds another secret you're somehow meant to find. There are spots where the river narrows, carving deep into smooth rock to form pools of glassy water that shimmer with unseen depth. Bathing in them is a rite of passage for those who find this place. The water is cold, biting, pure, and awakening. It sears the senses with a clarity that humbles. When night falls in Glen Etive, darkness is total and absolute. The sky, free from the light of cities, becomes a vault of infinite stars, reflected perfectly in the still rivers below. The land sleeps not in silence, but in harmony, with owl cries echoing across the glen and the whisper of wind in the heather as lullaby. Far out in the Pacific, Socorro Island rises from the ocean in sheer cliffs of volcanic rock. The surrounding waters are a sanctuary for giant manta rays, dolphins, and humpback whales. Beneath the surface, the ocean is alive with movement, the light dancing across coral and the sleek bodies of passing sharks. On the island itself, the landscape is raw and untouched. Lava fields, wind-carved ridges, and steep slopes covered in hardy green scrub. The sound of the surf against the cliffs is constant, mingling with the cries of seabirds that wheel in the open sky. In the remote Sierra Gorda of Querétaro, the Puente de Dios is a natural bridge where a river vanishes into a cave, only to emerge in a pool of crystalline blue. Sunlight filters through gaps in the rock, illuminating the water in shifting patterns. Fish glide lazily through the depths, and the gentle sound of the current blends with the distant rush of hidden waterfalls. The walls of the cave are streaked with mineral colors, and the air carries the cool, fresh scent of running water. Swimming here feels like stepping into the heart of the earth itself. Tucked away in the dense, emerald jungle of Bohol in the Philippines lies the lesser-known twin of the famous Chocolate Hills, the Anda Peninsula. Unlike its more photographed sibling, this region exists in a whisper, hidden between the trees and brushed by the ocean. Here, limestone hills roll like a sea of green domes, rising softly from rice paddies and coconut groves, their symmetry almost too perfect to believe. But the magic of Anda isn't only in the hills, it's beneath them. Underground rivers and flooded caves snake beneath the surface, their waters illuminated in phosphorescent blues. You can wade through caverns lit only by shafts of light, breaking through cracks in the jungle above. Stalactites sparkle overhead, while the sounds of the forest filter in faintly through moss-covered stone. Above ground, white sand beaches arc into coves where no footprints mar the shore. Traditional outrigger boats bob lazily in turquoise water, and sea turtles drift through coral gardens just offshore. At sunset, the hills darken to molten bronze while fireflies shimmer in the palms like fallen stars. It's a place untouched by crowds, guarded by forest, ocean, and the hush of being forgotten. But in that quiet, a different kind of beauty blooms, one that doesn't shout, but sings softly to the soul. Nestled in the southern reaches of Chile, beyond the famous trails of Patagonia, there exists a hidden glacial sanctuary known as the Cueva de los Milodones. Unlike its better-known cousins of Torres del Paine, this site is veiled in quiet legend and primeval beauty. Towering above the steppe is a yawning cave, carved into a sheer cliff by the breath of ancient ice. Within its cavernous depths, shadows stretch across fossil-stained walls, where remnants of prehistoric beasts once roamed. Outside, the surrounding landscape explodes into hues of gold and sage, wind-swept grasses bending under skies so wide they feel infinite. The cave opens toward a valley of silence, where guanacos tiptoe through the morning mist and condors trace lazy spirals in the thermal drafts. This is not a place of loud spectacle, but of whispered awe, where history lingers in the still air and the bones of forgotten giants rest just beneath your feet. In Cueva de los Milodones, time thickens, and the present moment becomes a thin veil stretched across deep eternity. In the northern reaches of India's Meghalaya state, where clouds sleep on mountaintops and waterfalls drop from the sky like strands of silver silk, lies the village of Nongriat, accessible only by foot through a verdant rainforest that seems more imagined than real. The journey is steep and winding, over 3,000 moss-slicked steps that descend into a jade canyon where light filters through the canopy in shafts of gold. But at the end of this descent awaits a marvel untouched by modern time: the living root bridges. Grown, not built, from the aerial roots of rubber fig trees, these bridges weave themselves over decades across streams and gorges, forming organic pathways that pulse with life. Each root intertwines like the strokes of a giant calligrapher, forming walkways suspended in the mist. Beneath them, aquamarine pools glisten among river-polished stones. The air is thick with the perfume of damp earth and blooming orchids. Nongriat isn't a village. It's a testament to human harmony with nature, a place where time flows like water and the forest dreams in green. Far in the southern reaches of Chilean Patagonia, where roads end and silence begins, lies the glacial paradise of Laguna Cerro Castillo. A trek through thick lenga forests and across icy rivers finally yields the breathtaking sight of the lagoon, an electric blue mirror cradled beneath jagged black spires frosted in snow. The wind here is fierce, scouring the land with icy fingers, but it only adds to the fierce, untamed beauty of the place. The mountains, sharp as broken glass, form a natural fortress around the lake, and avalanches thunder occasionally in the distance like distant drums of the wild. Wild horses roam freely, their manes tangled in the breeze, and the scent of wild mint clings to the air. Few footsteps echo here. Laguna Cerro Castillo is not a place one stumbles upon. It must be sought, and even then, it reveals itself slowly, like a creature peeking from behind the curtain of the world. And when it does, it stays with you, etched in the soul like a song without words. Carved into the rolling hills of southern China, the Yuanyang rice terraces unfold like a painter's vision, layer upon layer of liquid glass cascading down the slopes in perfect harmony. Here in Yunnan province, where the Han people have shaped the land for over 1,000 years, art and agriculture merge into a living masterpiece. At dawn, the terraces catch the sky's reflection, transforming into a tapestry of shifting color: rose gold, lavender, sapphire, mirroring clouds and sun like 1,000 tiny mirrors. Mist drifts through the valleys like a gentle tide, weaving in and out of the terraced walls as if the mountains themselves are exhaling. In the quiet hours, the only sounds are the soft rustle of wind in bamboo and the distant call of birds gliding above the shimmering paddies. There's an intimacy here, a closeness between humanity and earth. Each tier is hand-carved, every pool carefully filled, a rhythm maintained over centuries. It's a sacred choreography between people and place, and it radiates with a serenity that feels eternal. Nestled along the Atlantic coast of Galicia, Spain, there exists a beach that reveals its soul only when the tide retreats: Praia das Catedrais, or Beach of the Cathedrals. At first glance, it's a modest crescent of sand framed by wild surf and wind-whipped cliffs. But twice each day, as the sea withdraws, an architectural marvel rises from the waves. A series of natural stone arches and buttresses that soar above the sand like the skeletal remains of some forgotten basilica. These formations are immense, some arching nearly 30 meters into the sky. And as you walk beneath them, the scale shrinks your voice to a whisper. Each arch is carved not by hand, but by centuries of wind, salt, and relentless water. It's a place where geology becomes Gothic, where the ocean itself has built its own cathedral. When the tide is low and the light slants just right, golden sun filters through the arches, casting long shadows and illuminating moss-covered walls like stained glass. The sound of the sea echoes through the caverns, every wave a quiet hymn. Footage taken here often begins in time-lapse, waves pulling away like stage curtains to reveal the cathedral beneath, figures walking slowly beneath the arches, dwarfed by grandeur. No signs point here, no fences surround it. There's only nature and the rhythm of the sea. Locals speak of it with reverence, arriving barefoot with children in tow, watching them marvel at the stone corridors as if discovering a secret world. The beach is alive with transformation, wet stone reflecting sky, tide pools blooming with color, the arches holding the weight of centuries in silence. Off the coast of Croatia, where the Adriatic Sea holds secrets in its sapphire depths, the island of Bishevo cradles a marvel known only to those willing to chase light with timing and devotion. The blue cave, Modra Špilja, is not visible from the surface. One must sail, then switch to a low-slung boat, then duck low as a guide navigates a tiny sea-level entrance into the grotto's darkened heart. And then, as the sun reaches its apex, the miracle occurs. The cave floods with electric blue light, as if 1,000 lanterns had ignited beneath the sea. The source is sunlight, refracted through the submerged entrance and bouncing off white limestone seabeds, creating a supernatural glow that bathes everything in iridescent azure. Objects dipped into the water appear as silver phantoms. Fish shimmer like flickering holograms. The walls themselves gleam with an inner fire. No photograph, no description can prepare one for the intensity of the color. It is not simply blue, it is a blue that lives, that pulses, that breathes. It envelops visitors in silence, broken only by the soft splash of oars and the occasional gasp of awe. The air is dense with salt, and the cave ceiling weeps gentle droplets that fall like blessings from above. The experience lasts only minutes. When the sun shifts, the light fades, and the cave returns to shadow. But those minutes are eternal. The world outside seems dim after them. Your eyes have glimpsed something mythical, a hidden chamber where Poseidon might keep his secrets. Locals say the cave has always been here, long before tourism, before kingdoms, before borders. It existed for those who knew how to look, who understood that wonder does not announce itself loudly. It waits in silence, in darkness, until the precise moment when nature opens a hidden window. And then, just for a moment, magic pours in. In Quintana Roo, the lagoon of Cayun Lum holds a secret at its center. A deep, perfectly circular sinkhole where the color of the water shifts abruptly from bright jade to a dark, endless blue. The surrounding shallows are warm and calm, perfect for floating while the jungle hums softly beyond the shore. The air smells faintly of fresh water and sun-warmed wood, and the surface of the lagoon is so smooth it feels like glass under your fingertips. The dark center draws the eye endlessly, a silent reminder of the mysteries hidden beneath. In the mountains of Hidalgo, the Prismas basalticos rise like organ pipes frozen in stone. These towering basalt columns line a narrow canyon, their hexagonal shapes created by ancient volcanic flows. Water spills over them in a shimmering veil, catching the sunlight and scattering rainbows across the wet rock. Moss clings to the columns, softening their hard lines, and the sound of falling water echoes between the stone walls. Standing at the base, the height of the pillars is dizzying, and the geometry of nature feels almost too precise to be real. Off the coast of Croatia, nestled like a secret between the better-known islands of Hvar and Korčula, lies Lastovo, an island untouched by time, its beauty fiercely guarded by its remoteness. No grand resorts, no party beaches, no tourist-laden promenades, just cliffs bathed in golden light, stone villages that breathe history, and waters so clear they look lit from beneath. The architecture here is a story in stone. Faded green shutters on century-old houses, red tile roofs sloping into tiny alleyways where fig trees bend low and lavender spills from garden walls. Above the island, pine forests perfume the air, and at night, the sky opens with such clarity it has been named one of the darkest and starriest in Europe. Sailboats drift silently into hidden coves where the sea glows in electric turquoise, revealing coral gardens and caves carved by millennia of tide and time. In the quiet hours of dawn, fishermen cast their nets while the sun rises behind layers of mist, like the opening scene of a forgotten myth. Lastovo is not interested in catching your attention. It invites you instead to disappear, to blend into the rhythm of the sea, the hum of cicadas, and the eternal hush of waves brushing the rocks like a prayer spoken in a language older than words. Veiled by the cloud-wreathed mountains of central Vietnam is the enchanting village of Pa Cho, home to the Hmong people and wrapped in a mist-soaked serenity that rarely sees the footprint of outsiders. The road to Pa Cho is a ribbon of asphalt twisting through emerald hillsides, where bamboo groves sway in time with the wind and rice terraces cascade like green waterfalls into the valleys below. Each house is built of timber and stone, rising out of the ground as if born from the earth itself. The air here is perfumed with wood smoke, pine, and the floral scent of tea blossoms. Early mornings reveal a world cloaked in silver fog, pierced only by the silhouette of a farmer tending to their buffalo or the distant rhythm of a flute played beneath a tree. Market days are a mosaic of color. Embroidered skirts, indigo-dyed shirts, hand-woven blankets, and laughter as bright as the fabric. Pa Cho doesn't try to enchant. It simply is, pure, alive, and steeped in a quiet magic that seeps into your skin and stays. Beyond the towering dunes and bustling markets of Namibia lies the hidden marvel of the Ochihipa Mountains, a near-mythic range nestled in the Kunene region's remotest folds. Here, scarlet cliffs erupt from golden plains, their faces etched with time and shadow. The Himba people call this land home, their ochre-stained skin a reflection of the earth they revere. Access is only possible through arduous treks or small plains that skim over vast, unbroken wilderness. The land feels ancient, untouched by clocks, undisturbed by change. When the sun rises over the Ochihipa, the mountains ignite in hues of flame and copper, each fold illuminated in divine geometry. Wildebeests roam the foothills, and distant echoes of tribal chants rise with the wind. At night, the sky transforms into a cosmic ocean, stars so numerous they seem to pour from the heavens in an endless cascade. The Ochihipa Mountains are not just isolated, they are sacred, a corner of the earth where silence reigns, and the soul remembers its origin. Beneath the jagged limestone cliffs of northern Palawan in the Philippines, a hidden river flows into darkness. This is the Puerto Princesa Underground River, a subterranean world that drifts beneath a mountain range before spilling into the sea. It is one of the longest navigable underground rivers on Earth, but what makes it unforgettable is not its length, it's the way it feels. Entry begins in the mangroves, where monkeys chatter and monitor lizards bask on twisted roots. You board a small paddle boat. The guide whispers, and the paddles dip into the water. Then the cave yawns open before you, a mouth in the mountain, and you glide inside. light vanishes. Sound is muffled. Stalactites hang like chandeliers from cathedral-high ceilings, some so massive they seem to defy gravity, others shaped like cloaked figures or cascading waterfalls frozen in stone. Your flashlight flickers across walls that shimmer with mineral veils, glistening like trapped starlight. The river is black and smooth as glass, reflecting rock formations so perfectly that the boat feels suspended between two worlds. The air is cool and damp, carrying a scent of earth and mystery. Bats flit in and out of silent alcoves, and the occasional echo of dripping water becomes a drumbeat in the quiet. Video footage of the underground river captures this eerie majesty. Boats floating through darkness, headlamps slicing through inky blackness, explorers silhouetted against colossal stone formations. The cave feels less like a geological feature and more like a forgotten cathedral, a space too sacred for sound. Every curve, every arch, every narrowing corridor speaks of time beyond reckoning. It is not a place for hurried minds. It invites reverence, patience, presence. To float through this underground sanctuary is to witness nature's slow, silent sculpture, an experience carved in water, darkness, and time. In the remote wilderness of Namibia's Namib-Naukluft National Park, where the desert breathes in silent dunes and the wind carves secrets into sand, there lies a place where time has turned to stillness and color to fire. Deadvlei. It is a clay pan, a fossilized oasis, a forgotten graveyard of trees that have not rotted in over 600 years. Surrounded by the towering orange dunes of Sossusvlei, some of the highest in the world. Deadvlei is a painting made real, an abstract of earth tones so surreal they seem conjured from a dream. The approach is otherworldly. The sun blazes above, casting sharp shadows over undulating dunes that burn crimson at sunrise and deepen to blood red by twilight. And then suddenly, the sand gives way to white. Parched, cracked clay stretching out like ancient parchment. Scattered across this white canvas are the twisted skeletons of camel thorn trees, their blackened limbs frozen mid-reach, like dancers turned to ash in the act of worship. They stand in silence, dead yet unfallen, preserved by the arid air and absence of decay. Around them, the land is motionless, scorched, celestial. The contrast between the white pan, the burnt trees, the orange dunes, and the endless cobalt sky is so vivid, it leaves the mind stunned, suspended in awe. It is the color of reverence, of reverie, of reverent disbelief. There is no sound but the wind, and even that seems hesitant to intrude. Every footstep echoes too loudly. Every breath feels too alive. You move slowly, not out of fatigue, but out of instinctive respect, aware that you have entered a cathedral not made by hands, but by time, silence, and sun. Photographers often chase Deadvlei's golden hour, when the dunes catch fire and the trees cast impossibly long shadows across the white floor. But even in full light, the scene feels mythic, untouched by the turning of centuries. There is no modernity here, no memory of it, only the raw bones of a forgotten forest, held in place by the breathless stare of the desert. Hidden in the highlands of Oaxaca, Hierve el Agua appears at first like a frozen waterfall cascading down a cliffside. Mineral-rich springs have, over centuries, left behind gleaming white rock formations that mimic the flow of water in perfect stillness. At the top, natural infinity pools cling to the cliff's edge, their turquoise surfaces merging with the horizon. The air is cool despite the sun, carrying the faint mineral tang from the springs. When clouds drift low over the mountains, The pools seem to float in the sky, as if the whole landscape were a dream suspended between earth and heaven. On the Yucatan Peninsula, the cenote of Suitun opens into a cavern where light falls in a single perfect column from a hole in the ceiling. The beam strikes a circular platform in the middle of the pool, illuminating the turquoise water in a glow so pure it feels staged for the gods. Stalactites hang like chandeliers, glistening with moisture, and the cavern walls are etched with the patterns of time. The water is cool, clear, and impossibly still, mirroring the ceiling so flawlessly that it seems you could step into the reflection and walk upside down. Cradled within the wild, volcanic soul of Vanuatu lies the mystical island of Ambrim, a place where smoke meets jungle and the earth murmurs in molten tongues. The twin calderas of Mount Marum and Mount Benbow dominate the skyline, their lips glowing with the amber breath of lava lakes that churn day and night. To stand on the edge of these craters is to peer into the planet's living heart, a furious cauldron of creation and destruction. But the island's power isn't only fire. It's also found in the dense forests cloaked in mist, where banyan trees rise like temples draped in vines, and ancient petroglyphs whisper stories into the stones. Villages cling to the slopes, their traditions preserved in sacred dances and sand drawings etched with hypnotic precision. The air thrums with the pulse of custom and volcano, with the sound of drumming that echoes like the heartbeat of the land. Ambrim is an island that breathes, groans, and dreams, raw, otherworldly, and pulsing with the primal rhythm of Earth's creation. Carved from the jagged spine of northern Iceland is the Aspergi Canyon, a horseshoe-shaped rift said by ancient lore to be the hoofprint of Odin's eight-legged steed. This colossal scar in the land stretches for miles, hemmed in by sheer basalt walls that rise like fortress ramparts from a bed of soft grass and birch forest. Fog often clings to the canyon rim, spilling down like ghostly waterfalls into the verdant hollow below. A stillness resides here, deep and otherworldly. Birdsong is amplified by the walls, and the occasional rustle of leaves becomes an echo of the divine. Hidden within is Botenstjørn, a tranquil pond that mirrors the sky so perfectly it seems like a portal rather than a reflection. Few venture here, despite its mythic beauty. Trails wind through the silence, past mossy boulders and under branches that catch the northern light like green glass. Aspergi is a cradle of mythology and wonder, a quiet giant whose presence feels both ancient and awake. Hidden deep within the gorges of Kyrgyzstan, where emerald valleys slice through ancient peaks like the strokes of a giant's chisel, the Sari-Chelik Biosphere Reserve unfolds in absolute silence. This alpine sanctuary remains almost entirely unknown outside Central Asia, a mosaic of mirrored lakes, cedar forests, and snow-capped ridges that cradle 1,000 shades of green. The heart of it is Lake Sari-Chelik itself, shimmering like a sapphire fallen into the folds of the mountains. Its waters are so pure they seem to inhale the sky, reflecting each cloud and beam of light with dreamlike precision. Surrounding it, cliffs rise abruptly, dressed in blankets of pine and furrowed by waterfalls that seem to vanish before they reach the valley floor. The air here is more than clean. It's sweet with the scent of wildflowers and juniper, the sort of air that feels like it has never been breathed before. You won't hear the buzz of power lines or the echo of engines. Only the distant whistle of a golden eagle, the rustle of hoofprints from unseen deer, and the wind weaving its eternal song through the trees. Shepherds still move their flocks along ancient routes, their yurts blending seamlessly into the land. Sarichelek doesn't perform for the camera. It waits, quietly magnificent, for those who know how to see. Hidden in the heart of Norway's Senja Island lies a landscape sculpted by myth, the cliffs of Segla. Towering like a jagged fang over the turquoise waters of the Mefjord, Segla doesn't just dominate the skyline, it pierces it. Hiking here is a pilgrimage of awe, as one ascends the winding path, flanked by alpine blooms and the occasional curious Arctic fox. The view gradually unravels, sweeping fjords, mirror-still lakes, and a coastline etched with silver. Then, at the summit, the earth seems to fall away. Segla's knife-edge ridge drops almost vertically into the sea below, daring the eye to follow its impossible plunge. Wind howls like an ancient song across the peaks, and even the clouds seem to cling to the rock in reverence. At sunset, the stone ignites in fiery hues, casting long shadows that stretch across the ocean's expanse. Segla is a place that humbles. It doesn't whisper beauty. It roars it into the void. In the heart of the Ethiopian highlands, where legends intertwine with the landscape itself, there rests a place of sacred wonder, the Geralta Mountains. Unlike any other mountain range, these towering red sandstone spires emerge from the earth like fingers reaching skyward, each cloaked in mystery and devotion. Hidden within these vertical cathedrals are rock-hewn churches carved directly into the cliff faces by monks centuries ago, reachable only by scaling sheer walls and crawling through narrow crevices. One such church, Abuna Yamata Gu, defies belief. Carved into a vertical cliff 2,580 meters above sea level, its ancient frescoes still glow with vibrant reds and ochres, untouched by time or weather. Inside, the silence is alive, vibrating with the prayers of generations past. From this perch, the world unfolds in endless waves of ochre and olive, a living mosaic of valleys and peaks. The Geralta isn't just scenery, it's sanctity-made stone, a place where faith and landscape are carved from the same divine hand. Praia das Catedrais is not just beautiful, it's sacred, a sanctuary sculpted by time and tide, where the earth itself offers prayers in rock and salt and sun. Deep in the rain-soaked wilderness of British Columbia, accessible only by boat or seaplane, lies the thermal wonderland of Hot Springs Cove. Tucked inside Maquina Provincial Park, this geothermal haven isn't marked by flashy signs or crowded boardwalks. It's found by following the call of water, through cedar forests thick with moss, past salmon streams and eagle nests, until you arrive at a rocky shore where the earth breathes in steam. Hot Springs Cove is a series of cascading pools carved into the coastline, where scalding mineral water from beneath the crust mixes with the crashing Pacific waves. The soundscape is otherworldly. The hiss of steam, the thunder of surf, the cries of gulls circling overhead. You sit in one of the upper pools, where the water is hottest, and look out over the infinite gray blue of the ocean, sometimes broken by the spout of a whale or the silhouette of an orca. The air smells like salt and cedar. The heat seeps deep into your bones, and time ceases to exist. Footage taken here is quiet, observational, slow pans across steam lifting off the water, macro shots of droplets gliding down slick basalt, aerial views that show the pools glowing against the stone like geothermal lanterns. There is no luxury here, only purity. No artificial walls or spa music, just the raw, primal interaction of fire, water, and wind. It is sacred not in the religious sense, but in the way old forests are sacred, in the way the earth reveals itself with simplicity and power. You come away from Hot Springs Cove not refreshed, but renewed, cleansed by something older than language, something that lives in stone and steam and salt and stillness. In the far north of Iceland, hidden within the folds of the Diamond Circle, Dettifoss roars like the voice of creation itself. Unlike the more polished and postcard-ready waterfalls to the south, Dettifoss is raw, unrelenting, a force of pure elemental rage. Standing at its edge is not an act of sightseeing. It is a confrontation with power. The ground trembles as the glacial meltwater of the mighty Jökulsá plunges into the canyon below. A towering curtain of white fury, Dettifoss is Europe's most powerful waterfall, and to witness it is to feel yourself rendered small and fragile in the face of something greater. There are no fences here, no comforting barriers, just wet stone, howling wind, and the thunder of water pounding ancient rock with a violence that carves the earth itself. Mist billows upward in thick clouds, often visible long before the waterfall itself. It clings to skin, hair, and clothes, carrying with it the scent of minerals and glacial cold. Rainbows sometimes dance in the spray, flickering like spirits born of ice and sunlight. They appear and vanish in seconds, adding a strange tenderness to the fury of the scene. The cliffs around the falls are rugged and bare, sculpted by millennia of volcanic upheaval and erosion. Lichen clings stubbornly to the rocks, and the wind carries stories from the highlands. Tales of trolls turned to stone, of gods once walking among mortals, of fire and frost eternally entwined. Even the sky here seems wilder, with shifting clouds casting fleeting shadows that race across the plateau. Dettifoss demands attention. It is not a background for quiet reflection, but a symphony of thunder and awe. Visitors don't linger with idle thoughts. They stand frozen, breathless, the sound echoing in their bones, their souls caught between terror and wonder. For a moment, all distractions are washed away, and only the sheer truth of nature remains. In the remote mountains of Chiapas, the Agua Azul waterfalls thunder through the jungle with a rhythm that seems to pulse from the earth itself. The water, rich with minerals, glows a striking turquoise under the tropical sun, tumbling over limestone terraces in frothing cascades. Mist drifts through the trees, and rainbows flash in the spray, vanishing and reappearing with each shift of the wind. The air is thick with the scent of wet leaves, and the sound is so constant, it begins to feel like a heartbeat. Below, pools of calm water invite a quiet swim, their surfaces reflecting the green canopy in liquid perfection. In the small fishing village of Bacalar, a lagoon stretches out in bands of color so vivid they seem painted. Sapphire near the shore, deep indigo in the sinkholes, bright jade over the shallows. Known as the Lagoon of Seven Colors, its waters are so clear that even from above you can see the gentle sway of aquatic plants. The surface glimmers under the sun, rippling with the passage of gentle breezes. Mangroves line the shore, hiding quiet coves where the world feels far away. Every paddle stroke sends ripples of light dancing beneath you, as though the lagoon itself were alive. In the forgotten highlands of the Philippines, deep within the untouched ranges of northern Samar, lies a sanctuary of emerald enchantment known only to a few, Lulugayan Falls. Not as thunderous as the great giants of the world, but mesmerizing in its breadth. This waterfall fans out like a royal veil spread across a bed of mossy stone. It tumbles gently, then forcefully, a dance between elegance and might. Surrounded by a forest so thick with green it feels like the earth itself is breathing. Lulugayan sings a lullaby of wild purity. The air tastes of rain and soil, rich and mineral, nature's own elixir. You don't hear Lulugayan so much as feel it, the low rumble reverberating through bone and bark alike. Sunlight filters through the dense jungle canopy, casting soft, dappled light across the cascading waters, making the entire scene shimmer like a mirage etched into a dream. It's not a place marked on tourist maps, and yet, in its quiet solitude, it holds a majesty that rivals the grandest icons. Wrapped in the embrace of the Caucasus Mountains, a surreal spectacle blooms in the remote village of Ushguli, Georgia. Perched high above the clouds at nearly 2,200 meters, this is one of the highest continuously inhabited settlements in Europe. Yet, its true power lies in its stillness. Ancient stone towers rise like sentinels above weathered homes, each telling stories older than any living soul. The mountains cradle this village like a secret, their snow-draped shoulders glowing under soft alpine light. Here, time doesn't pass, it pauses. Horses roam freely across wildflower meadows, and narrow cobblestone paths wind through fields whispering with wind. The scent of burning wood from humble hearths drifts through the air, mixing with the crisp chill of glacier-fed streams. When the first snow falls, the entire valley turns to a silvery poem, a monochrome world where silence reigns, and every breath feels sacred. Ushguli is not for the hurried traveler. It's for those who seek the soul of the earth, untouched and eternal. On the edge of the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Tanzania, lies an island that seems to whisper secrets with every tide. Mafia Island. This archipelago, far removed from the bustle of Zanzibar or the mainland, drifts in its own rhythm, wrapped in coral reefs and coconut palms. But hidden beneath its warm, aquamarine waters is one of the ocean's most extraordinary sanctuaries, the Mafia Island Marine Park. Here, time folds into silence. Over 400 species of fish flicker among the reefs, weaving between kaleidoscopic coral gardens that bloom like submerged galaxies. Green sea turtles drift through shafts of sunlight like underwater monks, and gentle whale sharks glide near the surface from October through March, their presence both colossal and serene. These giants, polka-dotted and patient, allow divers to swim beside them in one of the most humbling encounters on Earth. Above the surface, dhows, wooden sailboats, move with the wind across the lagoon, their sails catching golden light in the late afternoon. Villages along the shore are quiet, wrapped in tradition and sun. Fishermen mend nets beneath mango trees, and the scent of grilled octopus lingers in the air. But the real draw, the secret that lures filmmakers and marine biologists alike, is the reef. Captured by underwater cameras in slow sweeps, the coral seems to pulse with life. It's a world that speaks without words, just movement, color, and light. The park is protected, nurtured by locals who understand that this beauty is their inheritance and their responsibility. There are no crowds here, no souvenir stalls, only salt, silence, and sanctuary. Mafia Island is a gentle marvel, a world away from the clamor of tourism, where the ocean's oldest rhythms are still heard, still honored, and still dazzling. Beneath a thick emerald canopy deep in the eastern reaches of Poland, there lies a forest that breathes with the memory of the Earth's ancient soul. This is the Białowieża forest, a primeval remnant of what once covered all of Europe, now preserved like a dream just beyond the edge of the modern world. Here, towering oaks stand like sentinels of time, their gnarled limbs entwined in perpetual dialogue with the sky. The forest floor is a spongy mosaic of moss, wildflowers, and decaying leaves that perfume the air with a heady blend of life and renewal. The silence is profound, yet not empty. It vibrates with the soft flutter of wings, the snapping of twigs beneath cautious hooves, the low growl of distant creatures unaccustomed to human presence. A shadow flickers, then emerges. A European bison, one of the last wild descendants of an ancient lineage. Its powerful frame moves with surprising grace, muscles rippling beneath a coat dusted with forest dew. These creatures once roamed from Spain to Siberia, but here, in this sanctuary, they remain as monarchs of an untouched realm. There is no path marked clearly, no signs to direct the visitor, only narrow trails threaded by the footsteps of those who come in reverence, not conquest. Light filters through the dense leaves in soft, golden shafts, illuminating groves where time seems suspended. In these hallowed spaces, trees have fallen and become cradle nurseries for fungi, mosses, and insects. Life rises again and again from the rich soil, stitched with the delicate threads of spider webs, glistening like silver embroidery in the morning mist. When the wind sighs through the branches, it carries stories too old for language, yet deeply understood. One does not merely walk through Białowieża, one dissolves into it. Along the coast of Quintana Roo, the Cian Kaan Biosphere Reserve holds a labyrinth of lagoons, mangroves, and barrier reefs teeming with life. The water shifts from jade to sapphire in wide, shallow bays, where manatees drift lazily and sea turtles rise to breathe. Above, the calls of herons and ospreys echo across the wetlands, while the air is warm with salt and the sweet scent of tropical blooms. Every channel feels like a secret passage into a world that remains as it has for centuries. Deep in the state of Puebla, the town of Zacatlan perches on a ridge where clouds sweep in from the valleys below. The main square is framed by colonial architecture, and the scent of fresh-baked apple pastries, made from the region's famed orchards, fills the air. From the edge of town, a glass-floored walkway juts out over the canyon, offering a view that stretches for miles when the mist clears. The drop is dizzying, and the wind carries both the chill of altitude and the sweetness of distant blossoms. Somewhere deep in the kingdom of Lesotho, cradled in the dragon-backed Maloti Mountains, lies the mountain village of Malialia. It is the sky's playground, where clouds skim mountaintops and horses gallop along ridgelines etched with eternity. The light here doesn't just fall, it soars, bursting through alpine passes and flooding green valleys with gold. Round stone huts with thatched roofs dot the landscape like beads on the thread of a forgotten song. Waterfalls cascade from unseen springs, plummeting into gorges laced with wildflowers. The silence here hums. It carries the weight of the wind and the rhythm of hooves. Herdsmen wrapped in colorful Basotho blankets lead their flocks along cliffs that defy the imagination. Stars blink awake in a sky untouched by artificial light, revealing constellations so crisp they seem close enough to stir with your breath. The trails are not paved. The stories here are not written. They are sung, carried on the wind, in the voices of those who've lived with the land for generations. It is a place not of spectacle but of soul, where beauty doesn't demand your gaze. It humbles you into reverence. Imagine a staircase to the clouds, carved into the bones of a mountain and tangled in the green breath of the Amazon. This is Cuelap. Hidden in the northern Andes of Peru, Cuelap is an ancient walled city, older than Machu Picchu, yet few outside of South America have ever heard its name. Rising above the mist at nearly 10,000 feet, It appears suddenly through the jungle like a lost dream, a fortress of limestone walls 20 meters high, crowned with wild orchids and hummingbird song. Built by the Chachapoyas, the Cloud People, this city sits atop a ridge so steep it feels as if the earth itself tried to hide it from time. Stone houses shaped in near-perfect circles lie in silent patterns along mossy walkways, and their walls are etched with zigzags and diamonds, the echoes of a forgotten language. The air is cool and thick with altitude. Llamas graze in the ruins, unbothered by the human awe that stirs among the shadows. From certain angles, the clouds roll in so thick they swallow everything but the ramparts and treetops, turning the city into a floating world, a sky-born memory. Footage of Cuelap often captures this surreal stillness. The slow drift of fog, the gold flicker of sun breaking through rain clouds, and the haunting silhouettes of ancient walls clinging to the spine of the mountain. There is no roar of crowds here, just the hush of wind through eucalyptus and the soft crunch of footsteps on stone. Cuelap does not ask to be found. It waits. And for those who do make the journey, it offers not just a view, but a revelation of how power and beauty once rose together, not with conquest, but with harmony carved into the sky.